We are live.
Welcome back to another episode of the Play by Play podcast. Tonight I'm here joined with Seam and Richard. How y'all feeling tonight?
Feeling good, man.
Feeling
Having a
good,
great night.
feeling good.
Man,
Not gonna lie.
Rich,
Not gonna lie to
cut
you.
me off, bro.
Oh, my fault, my fault, my fault, my fault, my fault,
Go ahead, go ahead.
my fault, bro. I'm not gonna lie. We started to record. We was playing some Warzone. I'm not gonna lie. We was getting fucking dick, so we just said we on record.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
bro. The
getting cooked.
Warzone, bro. The Warzone dickage was uncultured, bro.
Bro.
Uncultured Warzone dickage.
But
I'm sitting here thinking we about to play some Resurgence Island, and it's about to be like season one of Warzone. But nah, bro, they sweaty out here, bro.
bro, it was out there, bro. We got hunted one John, bro. One got all of us murked. Core
What is that, honey?
respawn.
What are you talking about? What's that?
So pretty much when you get hunted, bro, niggas that's hunting you can see you on the map. Pretty much.
Yeah, and they popped the UAV.
So the one time they was hunting Brandon. They hunted Brandon, killed me and y'all don't know Cam. Our mans and Core and Brandon. We respawn. They hunting Core now.
Bro, we camping inside the little building. We slide up outside. 3 teams, bro. 3 teams just clear us out.
Bruh. Yeah, we just said fuck that game. For right now, so if you don't like, bro, I'm just public service announcement. Don't play Warzone. Play Apex if y'all want to play a battle royale, bro. Don't play Warzone.
X, Apex, the best battle royale, bro. Fact.
Bro, I'm at this point now where I'm retiring from all the shooting games, bro. I'm just straight 2K, 2K and Madden, bro.
Bro, I can teach,
Straight
bro. We
2K
can
and
teach you
Madden,
how to
bro.
play Apex, bro. It was really we played it that one time, bro. You was doing okay.
Nah, bro. These shooting games, bro, they're different out here, bro.
Core ain't no gamer, bro. He ain't no gamer. Leave him alone, though.
All right, man.
Bro,
But
I just play 2K and Madden, bro. I don't play the game for real.
all right, man. I'm ready to get into it though.
But yeah, let's jump right into it. We back with the basketball portion. Scene. You came up with the topics for this week, so we gonna let you run it. We gonna follow your lead, bro.
Well, first of all, the big news of the week: Russell Westbrook on to the Los Angeles Clippers, man. Let me know your thoughts, Corday.
Man, at first we talked about it a little bit when the trade first happened to him going to the Jazz. And at first, I was saying like I didn't know if Russell Westbrook's like ego and mindset will allow it to work. But now that I've done some dwelling and thinking on it, bro, I feel like it's a good fit for them. They first off they didn't have a point guard, so now they get an upgraded point guard. And Russell Westbrook, he's at that stage in his career where the last couple of years he's been like falling off in terms of scoring the ball and his shooting numbers. But that elite playmaking factor is still there. And based off of the fact of them not having a point guard, Paul George was doing like a lot of their lead ball handling. So now that takes pressure off of Paul George, where he could just be Paul George, where he could just be a scorer, play off of Russ and Kawhi, and it takes a lot of pressure off of Kawhi too, where Kawhi can just go out there and we all know Kawhi kind of has a thing where he just cruise controls in the regular season and turns it up in the playoffs.
Yes.
Where getting Russell Westbrook along with Paul George is going to allow him to cruise control. And not only do I like it for PG and Kawhi, I like it for their role players too, man, because that team is so deep. Like Westbrook is going to give a lot of catch and shoot opportunities for those guys like Bones Highland and Eric Gordon and Robert Covington. So getting Russell Westbrook it's going to be amazing for them, bro. On paper, the Clippers might be the best team in the league, man.
Did even on court before they got Russ, I was starting to lean towards them being my favorite. I think adding Russ adds to it because Russ kind of fits into like they have like a little driving kick style. Russ is driving, penetrate the deep, kick out, giving guys opportunities to either catch a shoot or attack closeouts. Another thing I think Russ is gonna do where the Clippers were lacking is speeding the offense up and getting them out in transition, having them run a little more and speed the game up, which the
Good
Clippers
night.
needed. This time they didn't really have. And what else before what you call it? In terms of the bad fit, it's a little concerning to me with a little bit like the Clippers like to run a lot of pick and roll with Paul George while with them on the ball. Russ is not offering you much off the ball. He's not offering really anything at all. But
Yeah,
the reason I like this more than the Lakers is that the Clippers aren't relying as much on Russ as much as the Lakers were, because the Lakers kind of needed Russ out there just because they didn't have many options.
Yeah,
The
their
Clippers
roster was
have,
so bad outside of Brown and
yeah,
Westbrook. Russ had
the,
to do a lot.
the Clippers have options. So if Russ is out there stinking it up, you could be like, all right, come on, Eric Gordon, come on, Norman Powell, y'all go out there and take Russ minutes. So, like the Clippers aren't relying as much as the Lakers were on Russell Westbrook. Uh,
yeah.
Another thing, well, Richard, give your thoughts before I get into my final thoughts about it. But give me your opinion on it.
Uh, I like it. Like I like it a lot actually because, like Core said, Core brought up pretty much all the points. They needed a playmaker, especially after losing Reggie Jackson. Was probably going to be their main point. Well, that was their main point guard. I also like it
He's coming
for.
off the bench.
Oh shit! Oh, my fault. But
Yeah.
uh, I like it also because Russ and PG already have chemistry together from playing in OKC, so they pretty much want to gel right away. The only thing is, I don't know how it's going to work with Kawhi because Kawhi has like that sort of ego thing. So I think it might. I'm pretty sure they're going to work it out, in my opinion. But I like, like I said, they needed a playmaker, and like I said, it's going to take like a lot of pressure off of Paul George and Kawhi when it comes to being in ongoing situations. They can be Russ can put them in more in driving kick situations for catch and shoot situations. And like Core said, I like it for the bench. He can put them in catch and shoot situations as well because they got Aaron Gordon, Robert Covington, Marcus Morris. They got a bunch of shooters on that team, so I like it for the Clippers. Like you said, team. I think they're probably the second favorites right now out there in the West behind maybe like Phoenix and Denver. So
The thing I like about Westbrook going there is the fact of him having a coach in Tyronn Lue who's going to put situations to succeed.
yeah,
We've seen Tyronn Lue like coach other superstars before and get the best out of them. He got the best out of Kyrie Irving, being like that second fiddle to LeBron James, putting him in those positions where late in games he was taking the big shots over LeBron. He obviously, it takes a lot to coach a player like LeBron. He was able to get a championship with LeBron, and he was one of those rare like coaches who actually yelled at LeBron and will let LeBron know he was wrong. He got the best out of guys like Kevin Love. Now you see him coaching guys like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, where Tyronn Lue's a coach where I feel like he doesn't get the flowers he deserves, and he's going to be good putting Russell Westbrook in certain situations.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Ty is definitely a guy who's gonna play players to their strengths, and also to add to that, he's also a guy who's gonna be like, yo, Russ, like in the playoff, like regular season, I think it'll be fine. It'll work out fine. It's more about the playoffs for me and with Russell Westbrook's future, because like there could be a series where Russell Westbrook's out there stinking it up, and Ty Lue's not gonna hesitate to be like, Russ, man, you're not the right guy for this series, so we're not gonna play you this series. And I think the reason it's such a it's tough because like I think his other choices were like they said his other choices were Chicago and Washington. And I think if he would have went there and he would have just had his more like fine role, you're the starting point guard, you're running the show, and no matter what, you're gonna get your minutes. And if he would have got one of those two teams to the playoffs and like his value wouldn't have shot up, he would have got a contract, whatever. I think with the Clippers, it's more of a risk. It's like the Clippers already have pressure on them themselves because so far in these past few years they've underachieved. You could
yeah,
blame that on injuries. You could blame it on the bubble, whatever you want to. Regardless of the fact they have
Doc
underachieved so
Rivers.
far. Regardless of anything, they've underachieved so far. That's what it is. And Russ is already a guy who's gonna have pressure on just because he's Russell Westbrook. He's gonna have pressure there himself.
Gonna
Like say, say the Clippers are in the playoffs and Russell Westbrook gets sad because he's a
okay.
negative
Thank you.
factor out there on the court. Like teams are gonna look at that because teams are looking about like what's the last thing we saw. They're gonna look like, listen, Russ, you got benched in the playoffs. Why would we want you here? Like a team like Chicago or Washington, like you couldn't even get minutes in the playoffs, so why would we want you here, bro? So it's like it's a risk reward. It's a high risk, high reward thing because it's like Russ has a chance to compete for a championship, and if he's a big part of that championship team, he'll get his contract. But if he's a negative asset and he's not even touching the court playoff time, it could be a Carmelo Anthony situation where it's like Russ might get shunned out the league and we might not see any more Russ. So I mean, overall, I like the move for the Clippers, man. I think it's a for the Clippers, it's a low risk, high reward type of situation because like if Russ plays good, then you got a good point guard. Russ plays bad, you have fucking 10 other players you can go with that isn't Russ. They're deep as hell. Like the Clippers, it's like it doesn't really matter for them. Like it's a low risk, high reward type of deal.
Yeah.
But y'all have any more thoughts on it?
Nah, I'm ready to move on.
Yeah, I'm not ready to move on to.
All right. So the next topic we're gonna go to something
Wait,
I've been
wait, wait,
thinking
wait.
about.
Before you do that, do the Atlanta news.
Oh shit. Yeah, the Atlanta Hawks fired Nate McMillan halfway through the
Really?
season. Yeah, they
Oh,
fired Nate McMillan
I didn't see
right
that.
right after the All-Star break. Nate McMillan's gone, man.
Oh
I like
wow.
the move for the Hawks just because I feel like Nate McMillan. Uh, man, it was tough because that playoff run they had when they made the conference finals. Nate McMillan looked like he was a guy who was like, what the How
Yo.
Yo,
Yo.
mute yourself, bro.
just mute him. I'm just muting. What you call it?
Yo.
Just mute him, bro. You did.
No, he gotta mute himself.
I can mute him.
Yo,
Nigga said,
Brandon.
nigga started putting Spanish in the background.
Oh my
Brandon, mute
god.
yourself, bro.
Call him.
Oh my, bro. He just messed up the whole thing, dog.
Damn it, bro.
Yo,
Nigga, what is that?
yo.
I'm
What the
muted.
heck, bro?
I'm muted him. God damn it, Brandon.
Nigga hit the Spanish talking shit.
Nigga mute. Nigga Mike wasn't mute.
Yo.
Oh my god, we might have to start. You want to start over, bro?
No, we don't got server, bro.
Yeah, I'll just
Did they
edit it
cut
out.
that?
I'll just edit it out, bro.
That's
God,
hilarious, bro.
God
Nigga
damn it.
Yo,
had
that's
Spanish tutorial in the background. It's just a comprendo árabe.
yo. What's up with him?
Yo,
Yeah.
this should be cool
All right,
now.
just start from the just re-announce the Nate McMillan job.
Yeah.
Uh,
Shit, they could probably stay there. That was funny, but Nate McMillan fired from the Atlanta Hawks halfway through the season, right after the All-Star break. The Atlanta Hawks have been disappointing this year, and I think a large part of that has to do with Nick McMillan and his style of offense, having a very stagnant offense. The Hawks just been kind of like just running pick and roll with Trey and DeJounte and having everybody stand around. I think this is a talented roster where Nate McMillan hasn't got the best out of it, including last year. I think the Hawks had a lot of expectations last year after making the conference finals the year before, and they fell short of those. So overall, I think it's warranted. I didn't like what Nick McMillan was doing over there. It's kind of surprising because like after that conference finals run, everybody's thinking like, yo, Nick McMillan, he might be a great signing for them. He's gonna be great for the Hawks, and so far it's just been disappointment after disappointment for them. So the Hawks fired Nate. Core, what's your thoughts on it, bro?
Now, this might be the Sixer fan in me, but I'm gonna be honest, bro. Nate McMillan, I was never a fan of him. That nigga trash, bro. Dating back to his days on other teams when like with the Pacers, bro. He didn't get anything out of nobody over there. That conference finals run that he had with that Hawks team, bro, it was so fluky, man. Like, I'm not trying to sound salty because they beat us, but let's be honest, bro. It was just kind of fluky. They had no business being there. Like, bro, just the Sixers having collapses and Ben Simmons being on the court alone just got the Hawks to that conference finals. And yes, the Hawks have been underperforming this year. I feel like they have a roster where I don't think they have a roster where they're title contenders, but they should be a higher seed in the East than what they really are. But
hmm.
I'm not surprised that they're moving on from him because, like I said, I just don't think he's the guy for that job. But I like the candidates that they're looking at. You know, they're talking about Quinn Snyder. They're talking about Kenny Atkinson. I'm actually, seeing yourself. I'm a big fan of Kenny Atkinson. I loved what he did in Brooklyn when he had like D'Angelo Russell and Karis LeVert and them hooping when they were young. But the thing is though with the Hawks, bro, is like this hire is going to make or break their future with Trey Young.
Yeah.
We've already heard reports of like Trae Young potentially wanting out down the line, And just like he had that whole like debacle earlier in the year where like he got like suspended or whatever it was. Like he wasn't on the bench with the team, and they were asking him questions about it in the media, and he clearly didn't want to answer or talk about it. So that whole situation was weird. But then, like, even with Trae Young this year, you look at it and you see he's averaging 27 and 10, but he's still being considered to have a bad year. Like his shooting splits are down. He wasn't an all-star this year. He's only shooting 32% from the three, where like I said, I feel like this hire and depending on what they do at that head coaching spot and how they adjust the roster come off season is really going to determine the future of Trae Young in Atlanta.
Yeah, fair. I agree.
That's
Um,
true.
I think the writing was on the wall with Nick McMillan. He was kind of in the hot seat for most of this year, especially with having that little beef with Trae Young and kind of that divide in the locker room. I think the writing was on the wall all season. Richard, you got any thoughts on it?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I did not see this until well, it happened 5 hours ago. So yeah, I probably didn't. I definitely didn't see it.
You gotta turn them notifications
Yeah, I
on, bro.
gotta
What
turn
you
on those.
doing?
I got
Yeah,
Instagram.
That's
bro,
some
I
come
do
on, you
got
bullshit, man.
slacking, man. You
the crazy.
better hit
That
up
was some
Woj and
bullshit.
Shams.
I mean, that's the thing. I don't. Well, I don't use Twitter like that. So my Twitter notifications off. But I should have seen it
Hey,
on
my
Instagram.
man, you working in media now, bro. You gotta be prepared.
Yeah, guys, I'm gonna turn them on. But I usually, I should have seen it on Instagram if anything. But uh, like I said, well, like I said though, I feel like that Trey Young definitely is under the appointment. I don't know if that's because even though he has a co run mate with DeJounte Murray. Let me pull hold on. Let me pull up his stats real quick because I actually don't know how good he's doing. Is he doing okay? Like
That's fine.
how is
DeJounte Murray is doing DeJounte
He's
Murray
doing good.
things.
He's doing good.
gotcha. So it's
Especially when Trey's a playing. Obviously, he's gonna do better just because he get the ball more. But yeah, Dejounte's been good this year.
gotcha. Okay.
DeJounte's giving you 20 and 6.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what you want from your co run mate. But
And he's been shooting better too.
oh, okay.
Shooting like 36% for three on like damn near 6 months. He's been shooting a lot better this year for three, which a lot of
Gotcha.
people were kind of like concerned about with the fit. Is Dejounte shooting off of Trey? I think he's been really good for his.
DeJounte
Uh,
Murray's been shooting better from the three this year than Trae Young.
yeah,
That's a
he
crazy thing to say that you would think.
is, man.
But yeah, I don't know, honestly, because if like Core said, the Hawks are I feel like they're like up like wishy washy to me. Like they can be it can be good when they want to be, and then but when they're bad, they're really bad. Like they can like y'all like Seam said, they really just running through Trey Young, and then they're not using like their team. They're just using Trey Young to rely on and everything. Because then they had a bunch of like also they had a bunch of like players at one time. They had Cam Reddish, even though he's not touching the floor like that. I would think that you would use him a little bit more when he was on your team. But I also feel like it's weird for for them to who do you think they're gonna hire if they do like pick up somebody like who would you
Well,
think is
right
gonna
now their assistant coach, Joe Prenti, is the interim head coach. But
okay
they've shown interest in Kenny Atkinson and Quinn Snyder so far.
okay I think the I think the hire might be I like Quinn Snyder to be honest too because he even though he
I
didn't really
think
take
Chris
the
Snyder is cool.
I don't know I like what he did for the Jazz at those couple years that he was there with them.
I like Quinn Snyder too, but I feel like Quinn Snyder, he's not gonna get them over the hump. I feel like,
Yeah, I don't feel like I think he's like
and
in the same boat as McMillan, don't you think? You feel like he's
I feel like
I think
nah,
he's
he's
better than
better than
McMillan.
McMillan,
McMillan,
but
but
I'm not sure if he's gonna push you to over the top in the East.
yeah, because we got that
Like
makes
he's
sense.
had success with the Jazz, but even with Utah, they were always just like a really good regular season
The
team with
team,
playoff struggles.
yeah, I
Yeah,
feel you on
I'd
that.
like them to. It's easier said than done, obviously, but I would like them to try to find a coach that's a little more creative with the X's and O's. And because I thought the beginning of the year, Trey DeJounte showed a lot of potential together. And unfortunately, I just don't think Nick Miller was able to put that together.
Yeah,
Just because, like, they just have a bunch of guys just standing around, just watching DeJounte and Trey, like,
It's
pick
a
and
lot of
roll. Like,
ISO hero
ISO,
ball.
yup,
it's nothing.
And
It's not a lot of
that's
playmaking going
why
on.
I'm more of a fan of if they take the route of Snyder or Atkinson. I'm more on the Atkinson side because we've seen him, like I keep alluding to. Last time he was a head coach with that Brooklyn team, we've seen him. He had the star point guard in D'Angelo Russell with like the good players around him, where those players were being utilized in certain roles. Where you had, Karis LeVert being kind of like that guard playing off the ball, getting some shots up. He was getting the best out of defenders like Rondae Hollis Jefferson, where this Hawks team has a lot of better players than what that Brooklyn team did. And not
Yeah,
only
for
that,
real.
Kenny Atkinson on the Warriors staff, people go to the
Exactly.
Warriors
Yep.
staff, sit there, learn under that winning culture, learn under Steve Kerr, and then they get their opportunities and flourish like we're seeing Mike Brown with the Kings right now.
No, Corday, that is actually I never even thought about that. That is actually an amazing point. And even with Brooklyn, Kenny already showed that he'll have guys move around. It's not just all have D'Lo run pick and roll the entire game. Like he had D'Lo running off balls, running off of pin downs. I think he could do the same thing. Challenge Trey to come off of pin downs because that's an aspect of Trey's game that he just hasn't shown that he just hasn't been doing yet. And whether that's Trey just not being willing to do it, or I think it's more Nate just not doing it. But I think Kenny's the guy who come in and implement more like, all right, let's run some more off ball action, let's run some more player movement action. Let's have John Collins and Quick Capella do a double screen. Let's have DeJounte and Trey play alongside each other a little
He
more,
will
getting
make
some more
their
action together in a little 2 man
yeah,
game. Like I
Kenny
think Kenny
Kenny's a
could definitely
guy where
implement
he'll
those.
he'll do offensive adjustments. It's always
yeah.
kind of like,
He'll
excuse me,
make
it's always kind of like questions about like him defensively as a coach, but in terms of offense, his offensive adjustments they've been there since his Brooklyn days,
he'll
and I
make
think
their
it's only
he'll make
gotten better probably since being in Golden State.
he'll make their offense like a little bit more unpredictable than what they're accustomed to running, in my opinion. Like he will
Yes,
make like they will make it like they will make it so that like teams will have to play different defensively because when you face the Hawks, you know that that is most likely to be Trey Young or DeJounte Murray taking a shot. Like how you said, like how Corby saying with Maxey when he's coming off that all bench lineup, you know Maxey's gonna be taking the shot most of the time because you know nobody else on the floor is gonna be taking those shots. So I feel like y'all said, I feel like it's gonna be more of an unpredictable offense. And then if that happens, I feel like the Hawks will actually flourish into a better team than what they can be in the East.
And then I feel like the thing why I kind of like the idea of them potentially hiring Kenny is, we're playing in a league now where like we see players shoot like like 8 3-pointers a game, and it's nothing wrong with that. But this year, Trey Young is taking 7 threes a game, but he's only shooting that 32%. So it's like if he's not getting to the rim, it's just like if you watch the Hawks games, if Trey Young's not getting to the rim or drawing a foul, he's just launching a really bad shot. That's why his percentage is low this year. Like there's no offensive flow if uh DeJounte's not on the court or if Trey's not on the court. Like it's just a lot of standing around and watching me dribble and launch up a bad shot.
Yeah,
yeah, especially I think, especially adding Kenny and going to just sitting on Trey Young. I think you get a coach who can make your offense a little more unpredictable and have a little more sets into it, have a little more player movement. It just makes Trey even better because Trey's already one of the best offensive players in the league in terms of
yeah,
his ability to be the defender, his passing ability, his scoring ability. If his shot is falling, I mean, that just makes him 10 times more dangerous. But I think adding Kenny to Trey Young's game, I think that just amplifies Trey's game 10 times more. And
Yeah,
I think what I would like to see more is a little more because DeJounte's a guy who's also a really good playmaker. I would like to see Kenny come in a little more and have Trey play a little more like Steph maybe. And I know it predicates on Trey knocking down his shots, but he's gonna get that respect regardless. People are gonna guard him out there regardless. So I think having Trey move a little bit more off ball, coming off of pin downs, just constantly moving, not just standing there in the corner, not doing anything. Because Trey's not giving you anything as a cutter. So it's like, what is Trey? If Trey's just standing there, you have your man just guarding him. It's like there's nothing the defense had to react to. I just
yeah,
want to see a little more player movement
yeah.
for the Hawks.
You
yeah,
have to
Hopefully,
make
whoever comes
you
in.
have to make Trey more of a like when we talk about playmaking and all that, Trey, in terms of passing the ball and stuff, he's an elite playmaker. But there's more to just playmaking than passing. Like I want to see Trey become like elite off the ball, like being able to tire out a defense because you're consistently running when you don't have the ball. You're coming off of pin downs and
yeah,
stuff like that. Like all of that to me, that all ties into
You
playmaking
gotta make
because
you gotta make
you're
the
like
defense
your
move.
attention and gravity is taking away, like is making opportunities for someone else. Like that's why guys like JJ Redick and Kyle Korver and all of them are, although they weren't like dribble the ball elite type of playmakers, the way they played, like just running and coming off of pin downs will tire out a defense, or like guys like that are hard to defend. So I would like to see Trae Young do more of that while DeJounte's having the ball, where Trae Young doesn't need to dribble the ball 99% of the time because they have a capable playmaker in DeJounte Murray, where I feel like playmaking is one of the most underrated aspects in DeJounte Murray's game. He's giving you 6.5 assists this season.
Yeah.
And
Like I,
and the thing that I feel like with Trey Young too is like up until this year, Trey Young is like his skills and offensive talent. You're gonna have a top three offense in the league if Trey Young's at the helm of it. It's just the ability to put them in situations to succeed
and
where it's
execute
more
it.
off ball movement and stuff like that.
Kind of like I don't want to compare them, but like I would say Trey, if you have an offense that has more player movement, more ball movement around Trey Young, it could be like a Nikola Jokic situation, like where Jokic, like I'm sure Jokic's offense is amplified even more due to the fact that Denver is constantly having guys moving around and constantly having guys sending off ball screens, cutting everything like that. The Hawks just don't have that. If it's not like a lob or a kick out to a shooter, it's not much going on with Trey Young's playmaking just because the Hawks is just having guys standing around a stagnant offense.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
the defense isn't moving. Like that's pretty much why they're also having
exactly. Yeah, you're not making
like
the defense react.
The Hawks are a team where they struggle against zone so much because they just have people standing around.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're not making the
you're just
defense move.
having you're just having Trey or DeJounte run pick and roll at the top of the keys. Like you're not giving the defense anything. Like okay, we're seeing this again. Just guard the pick and roll and just stay attention shooters or help off of whoever's the
Yeah,
weakest shooter. Like
you're not making the
it's not hard to
defense
do
work or
anything.
anything. You're giving them free stops pretty much by just having them players that stand in the corner or in the wing and having Trey Young just pick and roll. Like you're giving them free stops.
Yeah, exactly. Any final thoughts on it, or we can move on?
But
Nah, I
yeah,
feel like I got my piece with that.
yeah, me too.
All right. Final topic of the pod, man. Gonna take a little bit of time. I really want to touch on it. We're gonna do tier list of each conference, Western Conference and Eastern Conference. I want to start off with the Eastern Conference. The way we're gonna do this is we'll have our bottom feeders, our mid tier teams, our sleepers. The sleepers are kind of like the good teams that are like right below that contender team. Like you can see them making maybe picking a push to the finals, but like most likely they probably won't. And then we'll have our contender. So bottom feeders, we can kind of just like there's not really much to talk about with the bottom feeder teams. For
Yeah,
me personally, I would probably have like give me a chance to for real, it's really just like Detroit and Charlotte for me
Yeah, I agree with
as the
yeah,
that. For
bottom
I
me,
agree
feeder.
with that
Yeah,
too.
for me the bottom feeders are Detroit and Charlotte, and they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, trying to tank for that first overall pick.
well, it's a little different. Like Detroit, I think Detroit's doing great because they got their young guys, they're developing their young guys. With Charlotte, I think Charlotte's just trying to do a little bit more. My bad, Chris. Echo behind you, John.
Hold on a sec.
I think
You good now?
Detroit's
Yeah,
yeah, we good. I think what Charlotte is more so it's more like just what they didn't do with the trade line, trading the getting off of those guys who like aren't really part of the timeline, like Gordon Hayward, Kelly Oubre, Terry Rozier. Charlotte's just a little more ugly. Like Steve Clifford isn't the guy who's been trying to play these young guys. They're starting to play them now because the front office like, you know what, fuck you. We're gonna trade Mason Plumlee because you won't play or Mark Jackson, whatever. Now Mark Jackson's finally getting minutes, but I mean, there's not much to say about the bottom feeder teams.
yeah,
But
man.
the thing is though, like for me, obviously, like when we talk about these bottom teams, I look at the Pistons as their season honestly being successful. If that as crazy
Yeah,
as
I
it
agree.
sounds, I look
I
at it
agree.
being successful because you had Cade Cunningham. You know, obviously you wanted him to play this year to take another step in his development, but sadly enough, he got injured. But the thing is with his injury is, he's young. You know, he'll recover from his injury in no time. But at the same time, with him being injured, you're getting to play your younger guys, getting to develop guys like Jalen Duran and Jaden Ivey,
Hmm.
while at the same time losing. You want to lose. Like your goal is to get Victor Wembanyama with that first overall pick. Where I've said this a couple of times so far on this pod, where the Hornets, I agree with everything you said on the Hornets. Not being able to, I mean, getting off of Gordon Hayward was going to be hard regardless. Like he's probably the worst contract in the league. But Terry Rozier not being able to get off of that, Kelly Oubre not being able to get off of that, it hurts because, like you said, they don't fit the timeline. But they have Kelly Oubre coming off the books in the offseason. He's a free agent. But like I said it on the podcast a couple of times, bro. I don't think the Hornets are tanking. I just think them niggas are naturally that bad. Like
Yeah.
they,
Yeah.
they're just terrible.
I think the main thing with Detroit is that you're seeing growth in guys. You're seeing growth in Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duran, Isaiah Stewart, and those young guys. But Charlotte is kind of like their younger guys are starting to get a little more opportunity now, just because like the Hornets like just a little bit, not really. Like Steve Clifford wants to win, and it's like there's no problem with that. But at the same time, when you have a young team,
You
you
have to
have
be
to let your young
realistic.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you gotta let your young guys develop, bro. It's just something you gotta do. But I mean, I don't have much to say.
I
But at
don't
least
even know
about the
why
Hornets,
you're
like
trying
I
to
don't want
win
to.
against teams like the
Yeah,
Spurs.
I'm not spending much time on the bottom feeding teams. That's where they should
Yeah,
be.
let's just move on to the mid tier. Uh, our mid tier teams are Atlanta, Washington, Toronto, Chicago, Indiana, and Orlando. Pretty much the playing teams besides one. Uh, and I would probably, or New York and Brooklyn. I would probably throw them in there too. As like the mid tier. Like I don't see them doing much, and like
I agree with
being
every
real
single team you
competitive.
named on that list.
Yeah, I don't see it being real competitive.
I
We could
feel
probably
like out of
rank them
all
up
of
though.
them, the best out of all of those teams you named, the team I probably like the most right now would be maybe New York. Um,
Yeah,
but nah, I
Yeah.
agree where those teams are where they should be. I feel like the Raptors. You guys know I feel like they should have been a team that looked to blow it up, but that's just not who they are. The Bulls, they're a team where they
yeah, it's
just
not good.
don't gel.
Good
They're just not good. They just don't have enough to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
anything or go far or win a playoff series like that. Like they have good players with DeRozan and Levine, but realistically, they're just not good. Uh, then you look at Washington. Washington, they have been playing better, but realistically, Washington is just they're just mid. Like I like
Yeah.
Brad Beal, I like Kuzma, but Washington, brother, they're just mid. I like what Denny Avdi has been doing, but Washington, they're not going to wow you. Brooklyn, they've been through such a roster turmoil in this last week or so, but I like their team. Like, I feel like they're going to be a hard
Yeah.
out in the playoffs. Like, and when I say that, I mean like they can lose a series in 4 or 5, but I feel like they're a team where it's going to be a competitive series because of the defending they have with Mikal Bridges and Cam
Yeah, it's gonna be
Johnson
tough.
and Nick
You can't
Claxton and
just
Ben Simmons. Like,
yeah.
it's going to be a
That's
tough
gonna be
out.
tough.
Like, just because a series says a team 1-5 or anything doesn't mean the series was easy.
Yep. I agree
I
with that.
agree. I think
I agree.
in terms of the mid tier teams, you have I feel like the teams that are like I feel like Chicago, Indiana, and Orlando are the three teams that are like teetering between like mid tiered and bottom feeders. Especially like I like Chicago is just not good, bro. They're another team, bro. Billy Donovan, I want to see him get up out of there because the offense is stagnant. There's no energy on the defense. Like Chicago just sucks. Orlando, I want to touch on them just because like and I think anybody could have put them in a bottom feeder team, but I feel like they're a team that's trying to kind of maybe make a push for the play-in. Potentially, they probably won't get in just because like it's a large gap. But like Orlando, man, I like what they're doing over there,
I
bro.
like what they're doing
Building
too. I'm
around,
not gonna lie.
yeah, building
I'm
around
not gonna
Paolo,
lie, I
man.
actually kind of like love Orlando's roster if I'm being honest with you.
Exactly, building around what they do in there. And in terms of the mid-tier teams that I could see, out of all the mid-tier teams, I feel like Toronto is starting to get it back together a little bit. And to be honest, like especially with their pickup of Jakob, and Jakob has really like I think it's only been like 1 or 2 games, but game that I saw, Jakob adds a whole new dimension in terms of just being that roller, being that rim protector. It adds an aspect to the offense and the defense. So I think in terms of a series, if you match up all these teams, I think Toronto is probably the best team right now, followed by like New York, then like Brooklyn. Uh, really, really, it's like Chicago, Indiana, and Orlando. I don't see them doing jack shit at all.
Yeah,
In
me
terms
neither.
of teams I could see potentially making the playoffs, that would be like Toronto, New York, Brooklyn, Atlanta, and Washington. I feel like those are the true like mid-tier teams where it's like they could sneak into the playoffs, be in the playing type vibe. Like those are the teams I'm looking at to make a little bit of noise.
Hmm.
Uh, what's your thoughts on it, bro?
I agree with you on everything that you said, and I want to touch base on on Orlando. I feel like they're just a couple years from being like an actual like playoff team because like a lot of cats over there, like a lot of people, a lot of players over there are starting to develop thing like Bobo. Like now that he got his some minutes, bro, he's starting to show what he's about. I really like Bobo.
Uh,
Paulo Banquero, he's obviously the rookie of the year. Nobody's not even up for debate at this point. Paulo Banquero is really nice. So I feel like once they like figure out like how their rosters and rotations is going to go, bro, I feel like that team is going to be really good. It's going to be a scary team once they develop in the East. I really like Orlando. I'm not going to lie,
all
but
right, so if we all kind of my bad, Richard, what you gonna say?
I was going to say I really Washington. Like I said, I like Bradley Bill. I like Kuzma, but they just suck. And the Bulls. I feel like a
They're not
lot
the
of I
the
feel like a
Wizards
lot
not
of
that bad, bro. Shit.
the Wizards are the
Uh,
Wizards are not bad, but in terms of the Bulls, but I feel like the Bulls are just so bad in terms of like their offense because they don't have a point guard there. Lonzo being out and not being out there. I think their offense is just terrible. I think they need a point. They need a point guard. I feel like they just need. I feel like they had a point guard. I feel like they'll be a lot better.
Yeah, man, they just picked up Pat Bev, man.
That man
Pat
not.
Bev ain't never missed the playoffs in his career, baby.
That Bev is the answer, dog. He's the answer. No, but so we kind of all agree. Do y'all think Miami's a mid-tier team? Y'all think they're a tier
No,
above?
No, they're not a
no,
mid tier
that's
team.
that's. I was gonna touch on that a little earlier, or not earlier, but later. So I guess we could jump ahead when you said
No,
like,
no, I just wanted to ask because I want to rank the teams. I just want to get y'all thoughts if y'all feel like we'll talk about Miami. I just want to know if y'all think Miami's in this tier, they're in the tier above, or like
I think
no,
they're a
I
tier
don't think they're
above.
mid tier.
I don't think they're mid
but
tier
all
at
right.
all.
So let's try to rank these teams in there in this mid-tier in terms of teams you could potentially see making the playoffs and making a little bit of noise in the playoffs. Uh, what do you think, bro? What would be your ranking of it?
So you want me like my finals, like my final teams, like my contenders?
No, no, no. The rankings in this mid-tier team, like so, all the teams you named in the mid-tier,
Oh,
try to
okay,
like
I got you.
rank them in terms of
So
best to worst.
for me in my mid tier, I will have the Knicks first. I will have uh the Raptors second. I will have the Nets third. I will have the Hawks fourth, and I guess I will have the Wizards fifth. Or nah, I will have the Bulls fifth because they do
Bulls over
still have
Wizards.
yes, just because the fact of if the Bulls can string some wins together and maybe the Wizards could lose a couple of games, they still have DeMar DeRozan, who was just an All NBA player last year, meaning he was one of the best players in the
Wizards
world.
got Wizards got
Uh,
Bradley Bill. I think Bradley Bill matches him.
he
Might be a
does, but
little
at the
better, in
same
my
time, I
opinion.
feel like just I don't know, man. I'm just a DeMar DeRozan guy. I feel like if you match them up head for head, it's they're I don't look at the Wizards and think, oh, they're miles ahead of the Bulls, and I don't look at the Bulls like, oh, well, they're such and such worse than the Wizards. Both teams have their flaws, but at the same time, they have players where they're capable of going out there and winning you a game or potentially winning you a playoff tournament.
I think with the Wizards, I would probably have them either in terms of this ranking with I'm gonna just kind of disregard the Bulls, Pacers, and the Magic just because I feel like they're starting to lose my hope. I guess I hope the Bulls can make a push for it. If you want to rate them, I would just have them last, I guess, in terms of the playing potential teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with Washington, just to touch on them a little bit, I think with Washington, they're a lot better. Not a lot better, but I think they're better than what their record says. Just because they lost Bradley Beal a little earlier in the season, they went on like a huge losing streak. Like I forget, like over 10 games they lost in a row. And then ever since they got Bill back, they've been starting to get some wins together. But they're also a team like they'll win a few games in a row, then they'll lose a few games in a row. So I could understand your concerns with them. The way I would rank it, I would probably go Toronto one. New York second, Brooklyn third. I'll probably go Washington fourth, then Atlanta just because Atlanta just lost their fucking coach. So like, who knows with them right now? And I would honestly go with Indiana over us over Chicago. Then I'll go Chicago, then Orlando.
I'm
Yeah,
not mad at it.
yeah, I'm not mad at that one either. I think I agree with Seam's order. I'm being honest, because like I don't know. I'm not gonna put the Raptors first. I'll probably move Raptors down to second, and then put New York first. I'll probably put New York's first, and then move Toronto down to number two.
Yeah, it was the mid teams. Not really a lot to say about them.
Yeah, I mean,
But
yeah, I don't have
not
much to
seeing
say
much
about
on
them
them.
either.
Gonna move on to the playoff the sleeper teams that like they could win a series, get to the second round, maybe even get to the conference finals. Uh, Finals is like we'll see. Some teams have better chances than others, but me personally, I have three teams in there. That's Philly, Cleveland, and Miami. Like my sleeper team. What about you?
My two sleeper teams are Miami and Cleveland. Um, Miami just off of the simple fact of they've been there before, they've done it before. They have a superstar in Jimmy Butler where he's another player where he kind of just coaches through the regular season and just reaches a different level come playoff time. They have Bam Adebayo, who was an All-Star this year, doing a lot of work and basically carrying them in games Jimmy Butler's missed. They still have Tyler Hero. Kyle Lowry has been struggling this year, but if he can just, come out there, play make a little bit, still be able to give you an effort defensively and take charges, he'll still be a factor out there. And they just recently picked up Kevin Love, where I feel like Kevin Love is going to be such a big addition for them. He's going to be able to come in, grab rebounds, knock down some shots, give them some post-scoring offense.
Yeah,
And Miami has their defenders where they'll be able to hide Kevin Love's defensive weaknesses. But the thing is, with Kevin Love joining their team, is just will he be able to shoot, 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 and make his threes at a consistent rate based off of the fact of him being older. But I think he could do it.
Yeah,
No matter how old you get, you don't forget how to shoot. So Miami is a team where I feel like they can make noise. As for Cleveland, I feel like Cleveland can. I feel like they can and will be a team making the second round. But at the time, it's like I don't know, man. Like they have players with Donovan Mitchell, they have Darius Garland, and I like their bigs with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley being able to have switchability, being able to get out and guard smaller players at a successful rate. The only thing with them is just when they get to that next round, I'm not sure if they could beat the teams that I view as the contenders.
I think they have some their weaknesses. I'll touch on Cleveland just because we were just talking about them. I think Cleveland, they're obviously elite defensively. They have that Mobley and Allen down there. Their main thing is just the shooting. They can't
It
being able
is,
to knock
and
down shots, bro.
they don't have a
yeah,
real answer at the three.
yeah,
Yeah, they
exactly.
just don't have a lot of shooting there, but I don't know. I think they could. I think in terms of like Philly, Miami, I think they could beat any of those teams. I think either of them could probably beat them. I think Miami's a little more tough just because like with Miami, I think Miami could match up well with like Corey. You got the echo again, remember? What you call it? I think Miami can match up a little better with Philly and Boston, but like Miami's a team where it's like against a team like Cleveland or Milwaukee, I feel like they'll really struggle against them just because their two main guys, Jimmy and Bam, play inside out. They're going to be all around the paint area, and obviously Milwaukee and Cleveland have a lot of size down there. But I think
Yeah,
Miami, they have the best defense in the league right now. Then they have Jimmy and Bam who keeps them afloat. So I think they can compete with most teams out there in the East. Depending on how the rounds match up and who they get to play, they could potentially sneak into the conference finals again, depending on who they play. Like
yeah. It all comes down to matchups.
it all comes down to matchup. I don't think they obviously Cleveland is their lack of shooting, but like when you have, I think Donovan Mitchell has shown like a lot of games this year. Donovan Mitchell's like, yo, fuck the shooting. I'm gonna get buckets. I'm gonna get mine regardless. And even Darius Garland be doing it too.
Yeah,
So I think Cleveland could. I'll probably lean towards Philly against Cleveland, but I think Cleveland could definitely Philly as well.
yeah. I feel like my two sleepers are. I'll agree with Core on the sleepers. I don't think Philly's a sleeper team in my opinion, just because of who they got. Man, they have
You think
one.
they're contenders? Like
I think they're
one
the
of the top
contenders.
tier.
I think they're contenders in my opinion. I don't know if they're coming out of the East when you got Milwaukee and Boston sitting right there, but they're contenders. I don't know, but like I feel like they when you have one of the best centers in the league, I mean the top two center in the league, I feel like I think you're a contender. And then you still got one of the best playmakers in the game in James Harden, and then we got a rising star with Tyrese Maxey. I don't think they're contenders, bro. I feel like they need to improve their bench. Their Sixers bench is pretty horrible, but it, it doesn't really.
Bro, the Sixers bench isn't even bad. It's just the idea of them running a
A
whole
full,
bench lineup.
yeah. I feel like that's what it is. I think they just need.
Obviously,
I think they need to change their coaching staff. In my opinion, I think they just need to fire Doc and then try to get somebody else in that.
Man, that nigga can go, man. I'll help pack his bags.
yeah,
They need to
that's
get
like
somebody else in there.
my main thing with Philly is like obviously they're good. I think out of the sleeper teams, they're the best team for sure. Like if I will take any team to make a contender, it'll be them. My thing with them is like I think they rely a little too much on Joel because they don't have a lot of scoring outside of him in terms of just a guy who can go out there and just be like, give me the rock, I'm gonna get us a bucket. Like Harden hasn't been there. They haven't relied on Maxey to really do that as much either because they haven't come off the fucking bench now. And even then, like I don't view Maxey as that type of guy. And their offense can get really fucking stagnant because like it's the same shit over and over. It's like Harden Joel pick and roll or Harden ISO or Embiid ISO in the mid post. He seems to just send a double at Embiid, they're just moving the ball around, and then Philly's gonna rely on guys knocking down shots, and their shooting has been pretty decent, in my opinion. So, in terms of how they match up with like Boston and Milwaukee, I don't see them beating those teams or like level. I think they could compete with them, like take them to the 6, maybe 7 games. Hopefully, I just don't. If Philly made the finals, I would personally be surprised. I don't see them being that type of team right
Now, I'll say this, as a Sixers fan, I do have us as contenders. But at the same time, even though I have us as contenders, I would be surprised if we were to make a finals run too, just because I view Boston and Milwaukee as better and deeper teams. But not only just because of that, mainly because of the coaching. You already know how I feel about Doc Rivers. He is often out coached. He doesn't make adjustments. He has an
Yeah.
ego. He plays all bench lineup. But all of that aside, I have us as contenders just based off the fact of us having Joel Embiid alone, a guy who's been an MVP candidate the last 3 years, guy who's leading the league in scoring, a guy who, when he turns it on the defensive end, he's one of the best rim protectors in the league. And then we have James Harden, a guy where he's not what he once was scoring before, but he's an elite playmaker, leading the league in assists. And it's just the fact of when you are able
Might cut out.
We lost them.
to put that duo out there to what?
You might cut out.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got.
Yeah, sorry about that. But nah, I just feel like when you have a duo like Embiid and Harden, they could give any team a run for their money.
Yeah. I agree
But
with
that's
that.
that's the thing with my. I just we say when you have a duo like Harden and B, I don't do it much as like a duo more than this is like Harden's a good level star level role player, but I don't trust Harden to be like to step it up when he needs to. I just don't trust him to do that because he hasn't shown me that he can do it. Especially
I
in the
mean, that's
playoffs. I mean, last year a big part of why y'all lost is because Harden didn't step up when he
I
really
mean that's fair
scoring
to
ability.
say, but you look at it, it's a different season where he's been better this year. The numbers are somewhat similar, but just in terms of the eye test, he's been better this year than he was last year, and you have more competent like the roster's kind of the same, but you have more competent role players around him with a guy like PJ Tucker, who is going to do dirty work, and he's going to do stuff that doesn't show up in the box sheet. And then you have a guy like D'Anthony Melton, who's going to be able to knock down some threes, be able to get some steals, uh guard good players on on the other team. But I don't know. Like I said, I just think at the end of the day, what's holding them back ultimately is their coaching.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like whenever I talk about the Sixers and their playoffs, the things that concern me with Philly is always I don't trust Harden in the playoffs, I don't trust Doc in the playoffs, and I don't trust Embiid's health in the playoffs. Not that I don't trust Embiid's ability, but we've seen every year something comes up and Embiid's never 100% in the playoffs, and it ends up hurting his production. But yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on Philly.
I
Got
mean,
some
that's
duos.
relatively fair, but at the same time, when you look at it, it's like Embiid's playoff injuries are a lot of times they're just like freak accidents, but at the same time
Still injury, man. Yeah,
he's
he
still
getting hurt
giving
every year.
you Joel Embiid like numbers in the playoffs.
Last year he wasn't versus Miami. He wasn't Joel Embiid that we know. I know
They
it's a
did they
it's a
they
bad
did a
injury, but
good
like,
job taking him out of the series, but at the same time, those two games they won in Philly, he was Joel Embiid.
lost, he wasn't. Throughout the series,
They
he really wasn't. That's like you
they were
said. That's another thing that concerns me with Philly is like teams like Boston, like Miami, who will swarm and beat with them double teams and try to take them out the offense. Teams are living with letting the rest of the team beat you because teams are living with Harden doing whatever he's doing because Harden hasn't shown to be able to be that elite scorer that he once was. Not saying that he's not good. I still think he's a great player. I think he should have been an All-Star, but like Harden isn't. He hasn't shown that he's gonna be like, let me put the team on my back and just go out there and get buckets. His shit is a lot of times relying on if he's going to be knocking down the shots or not because the slashing ability isn't there as much anymore. He's not able to beat his defender as well as he once was, be able to score. Like that's another thing that concerns me. Like taking beat out the offense. What is Philly giving you outside of Joel? Because Joel is the fucking offense.
I mean, I understand your point, but at the same time, this year I feel like it's been hard to say that because James Harden, he's had good shooting splits this year where he's kind of close to 50, 40, 90. He's doing a lot better from the mid
Yeah,
range. He's shooting
yeah,
almost 40% from the three, where I feel like I understand you're going based off of history, but that's something we're going to have to worry about when the time comes because based off of this year, regular season wise, James Harden has done a better job than what he did last year. Like he's
I
doing
can
what you
agree with
want him
that.
to do. There's been
I can
games
agree
this
with
year in the
that. Yeah,
regular season where he took over in the fourth quarter, and he's been a main reason why we've been winning games in the fourth quarter.
sure. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I think Harden has implemented more of that mid-range game into his arsenal as well. So I can agree with that. I think with Philly is more just like a I have to see it before I believe it type of thing because like we've seen
Mm.
this a lot over the years. Like in the regular season, it looks great. It's looking like Philly could be in that type of echelon team, and in the playoffs, they just fall short for whatever reason. So I think with Philly is just kind of like a I have to see it to believe it type of. It's like the boy who cried wolf type of shit. Like after a while, it's just like we're not gonna believe in you, have to show me type of vibe. We can
Yeah.
move on to the top teams. Me, probably I have Milwaukee and Boston as the two top teams. Those are the only two teams I really see making it out of the East. Like I said, like I could see Philly potentially doing it if everything goes well. I would personally be surprised. Like Boston and Milwaukee are the two top dogs in my opinion. But
And I feel like that's just obvious.
Yeah, that's obvious,
yeah,
and you don't even need to speak about Milwaukee. But they got
But
it deep.
no, I'm gonna talk about Milwaukee a little bit because this was one of the main. I mean, it's kind of going back to the Sixers talk a little bit, but that's one of the reasons why I also have Philly as a contender because it all goes based off of matchups, and it's a chance that Giannis is going to be out with his wrist, and so far based off of what we know, there's no timetable. They've just been dealing with injuries this year. Drew Holiday has been in and out of the lineup. Chris Middleton has been in and out of the lineup, and if Giannis is out of the lineup, I'm not sure if Milwaukee will be able to sustain that number two seed with Philly if they're remaining healthy. I think they have a good enough team to maintain that number one seed, but Milwaukee, depending on what Giannis injuries looking like, if Chris Middleton's healthy or not, they won't be. I feel like chasing that number one or that number two seed. Their focus is going to be let's just get our players as healthy as possible for the playoffs. Where if Philly is able to sneak up and take that second spot from Milwaukee, they'll have better matchups where they could potentially get to that third round. Like I said, it's a lot of ifs, but at the same time, it injuries will play a factor, especially if Giannis is
yeah.
out for a lot of games.
I think a lot of it is predicated on matchups and all that, and especially with Milwaukee, is based on health. I mean, we've seen uh Chris Middleton. You don't know what Chris Middleton we're gonna get. Like hopefully, I assume that that he's starting to play a little more now, starting to get back in the rotation a little bit. But like we don't. So far this year, hasn't played really much at all. And when he has played, he hasn't been the same Chris Middleton. So like Milwaukee's main concern for me is just being healthy by the time the playoffs do come around. But like if they're healthy, I think they could compete with obviously anybody. I think they're one of the top teams. They can win a championship. But man, we talk about Boston. I mean,
Yeah,
Boston's looking dangerous though. They're looking more dangerous than they were last year. And
yeah.
yeah, man, I think
They're. I don't know if they're as deep as the Clippers, but they're pretty.
they're
They're
deep.
deep
Yeah,
team
they're
too.
deep. They're deep, and Boston has it all. I mean, They're elite offensively, elite defensively. They're gonna knock down their shots. That's my main thing with Boston is they rely a lot on knocking down those shots. Like the shots are falling. Luckily for them, more times than not, Boston is gonna knock down those shots. Like so that's I don't really have much concern there. I think it's between Boston and Milwaukee. I'm not sure who wins that series. I mean, they won 7 games last year without Chris Middleton, but Boston also got better since they have a better coach now. They have a better
Yeah,
bench, better with Malcolm Brogdon and everything. So,
that's crazy
yeah,
that
man,
they have a better coach out of Ime Udoka that took them to their first
it's a
final.
it's a crazy situation as well too. Because like if the shit with Ime didn't happen, you wouldn't even realize how good Joe Mazzulla was as the head coach. It's like I guess we'll see what happens in the playoffs. Like just based off the regular season, the defense is still great. Even with Joe Mazzulla, the defense is still top notch, and their offense just got a lot like 10 times better because it's not just like he's better with like Tatum and everything because Tatum's not just in there like just running ISO all fucking game. Like it's a lot more play move, more ball movement. It's a lot more going on in the offense. Like yeah,
Yeah,
Boston's gonna be tough to beat. They're probably they if I had to get they're probably my favorite to make it out the East. But, like Milwaukee, I feel like Milwaukee definitely.
yeah,
No, I agree, but the thing I look at with Boston too is like where I kind of look at it where like a lot of teams come playoff time, especially with teams that have like new head coaches where everything could be fine and smooth and stuff in the regular season, but come playoff time there's going to be times where the game slows down and offense goes stagnant, and I want to see like can Boston remain running their offense as smoothly as they have in the regular season during the playoffs because sometimes we see in certain situations where like Tatum he'll go back to settling for bad shots or
Yeah, for sure.
fadeaways when he has like a smaller player on him. I want to see them be able to consistently run the flow of their offense in the playoffs and not have to go back to the old force of just forcing unnecessary shots.
For sure. I do agree with that. When in the rare times that Boston's offense does get stagnant, I haven't loved what I've seen from Jason Tatum in terms of like you said, he'll force up a lot of those bad shots. He'll try to play in the mid-range area again where he's not the strong that like Tatum's at his best where he's just shooting threes, driving to the paint. I think when the offense gets stagnant, he tries to play in that mid-range area, throwing a lot of turnovers. So yeah, that's definitely a concern for Boston. If the offense gets stagnant with Milwaukee, we've seen in the past at least their offense gets stagnant. You got Drew, Chris Middleton, and Giannis. They're usually making the right plays and doing the right things. It's not a lot of times the case with Boston. I mean, I'll give Tatum his credit. He's been doing a lot more this year, but we've also seen moments where he hasn't done it. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I definitely think it's between Boston and Milwaukee. How do you think if you have Philly in those tier with them? How do you think Philly matches up against those two teams? Like, do you think they have a good chance of?
Realistically,
mm,
I feel like if Philly was to lose to one of those teams, it'll be in like six. But if Philly was to win a series against one of them, it'll be in seven. Like
yeah, I could
So there's a
believe.
I
so
don't
here's
see
my
Philly beating one of those teams in like five or anything like that.
Right, so here's my question, right? So with Philly and Cleveland, do you see that series going either way, or you have Philly as like a considerable favorite?
Nah, for me, I feel like Philly's the
There's a
clear favorite
considerable.
in that series,
Yeah, I feel like Philly's
personally.
a
Even
clear favorite.
with Miami too.
Uh, as of right now, yes.
All right,
I
Honestly,
feel
all right,
like I feel like Cleveland and Miami has offenses that go. I mean, Philly's offense can go stagnant at times, credited, but I feel like,
yeah,
especially from what
Joel,
we've seen
right?
this season, Miami and Cleveland has offense where it just goes so stagnant. And we're looking at Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland to play so much hero
Oh
ball.
shit, I think
yeah,
Donovan Mitchell's one of the best at playing hero ball though. Like
I
Donovan
do
Mitchell's
too,
one of
but
them guys,
realistically,
bro.
you can't expect to win a seven-game series based off of just playing hero ball.
I
honestly,
think
if I'm gonna be truly honest with you, this might be a hot take. I feel like if the Cleveland and Philly was the matchup right now, I feel like Cleveland might get swept. If I'm being truly honest.
swept.
Nah, I will have Philly in five.
I think is that damn.
I feel like they'll get swept because one, I feel like I don't know who would guard. Well, they can't really.
I just don't trust Cleveland's shot creation outside of Mitchell and Garland.
Yeah, that, and then I just feel like they don't match up well defensively with Embiid and Harden. I feel like that's.
No, nah, they
What are you
they
talking
do.
about?
They
Yeah,
have
I know
Jarrett Allen
they
and
got
Evan
Jared
Mobley.
Allen, but did we seen what Embiid did to Jared Allen? I think that one game they
I
didn't.
think in the 7 game series they have more time to adjust to it, and like I think
Yeah, I know.
second half they show. I mean, B was still doing him in the second. Like the second half they played and be a lot better. wasn't getting as many shots up. Like he would have to hit some tough ass shot, and Embiid's gonna hit tough shots. Like I think they played him pretty good overall, and like Harden wasn't really doing shit versus Cleveland. Like he got good numbers, but he wasn't able to get too many shots up either. So I don't. Yeah, I
I
don't. I
mean,
don't
at the
agree with
same
that take
time,
of
though, that's
ownership and
kind of
stuff on
like
that.
false narrative a little bit, where the Sixers were up big so much majority of the game, and Cleveland made a little run really late in the game, kind of when it was decided already. But for the most part, the last time they matched up,
Yeah,
Philly dominated them from the tip
that's true. That's
to the
true.
end
That's
of the
true.
game.
Yeah.
That's fake. That's fake. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'll probably just see a little more from Cleveland. I'm
Yeah, I
not
had to
sure.
see a little. I had to see it to believe it. But if we're looking at what that game that they just last played, even it's just one game. We obviously can't.
Like for me, like any team in the East that plays Cleveland, I'll live with Donovan having to get 40 and Garland having to get 28, 30 to win a game. I don't think Hero Ball is enough to win you a 7 game series
Yeah, facts, facts.
where
Yeah,
they don't have enough like shot ability outside of them. Like Seti Osman, he's a decent player, but I'll live with Seti Osman shooting. I'll live with Isaac Okoro shooting. I'll live with Danny Green shooting. You know, Jared Allen's not going to shoot, so I live with it.
Yeah. All right. And what about Miami? We see Miami usually have so we know they have a formula for him to ball out of his hands and get him getting less shots. How you think Miami fares against it?
I feel like Miami fares very well against Philly. You know, they beat us in 6 last year because they have, you know, Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, and you know they have a defense that is able to, you know, guard and beat well. But for me, the reason why I look at them different is because now one of the main reasons why we struggled against them last year is now on our team in PJ Tucker, and you know they didn't really go out and address that need of them losing PJ Tucker. Sure, now they have Kevin Love, but realistically, if they play Philly, Kevin Love, you know, is most likely going to be a liability on certain matchups defensively.
Sure.
yeah, I agree with that.
And how do y'all before we move on to the West, how y'all think Boston Milwaukee matchup against each other this time around? Kind of like
I
the
don't know
same one
because
last year.
Boston is better this year than they were last year,
Last
just in
year,
terms of their
yeah,
depth and stuff with Malcolm Brogdon and stuff. But I mean, I can't really dwell on last season, but I feel as if last year, if Chris Middleton was healthy, that
that series
Milwaukee
will be
probably would have won that
yeah,
series.
that series completely different if they have
But
Chris.
like I've been saying all pod basically, it all determines on the health of Milwaukee and if Chris Middleton can be all-star Chris Middleton that we've seen, which is kind of I don't want to say a big ask or but it's a question mark because he basically hasn't been himself since last playoffs before he got injured.
Thanks. Yeah, it really predicates on health for Milwaukee, man. Chris Middleton
Yeah,
isn't there. I don't see them. I don't see them being Boston.
they
So
also need Drew too. I think Drew is also a big part of what they
yeah,
do.
Drew's been. We could move on to the West. Bottom feeder teams, we're gonna move past them. I mean, they suck. San Antonio and Houston. Really talk about them. The mid tier teams for me, looking at it, I'll probably go New Orleans just because with New Orleans we haven't seen them fully healthy yet. Like, we haven't seen them fully healthy at all. I'll go
Yeah,
Minnesota, OKC, Utah, Portland, and I would still throw LA in there tier, man. I still gotta see them
Hmm.
playoff playoff niggas who making noise in the playoffs. Uh, about you, Car? You feel
Um, I agree with everything you said except LA really. Um,
have LA in that tier that
I have LA in a tier higher just because I do feel like if they could remain healthy, that their roster is good enough to get them into the playoffs.
it's not about. I think any teams can get it. When I say like the tier above, I'm thinking teams that like they're in the playoffs, they can make some noise, potentially win a series and go to the second round.
Yeah, and I view the
I
Lakers as
feel,
a team that could go to the second
me
round.
too. I feel like I like him do way better. I want to move a team down. I feel like the Wolves are just trash, bro.
Now the Wolves starting to get like they're not amazing, but I don't think they're
I
yeah
mean,
they can make the
I
playoffs.
don't think they're not getting out of the first round though.
No,
That's
that's what I'm saying. These are the teams that we don't really see making getting out the first round. Just like a team that can compete in the play on and make the
Yeah, that's why
playoffs.
I didn't have the Lakers there because I think the Lakers have a chance of getting out of the first round.
first round. But I don't even.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess the Wolves
Like
can
for
make.
me, I look at it like Minnesota, the Thunder, the Jazz, and the Blazers, and the Pelicans.
You know what? Me
But for
personally,
me, the Pelicans are just weird because, like you said, they just haven't been healthy.
yeah, I think they
Because the
if fully
Pelicans were just
healthy.
first seed not too long ago.
Yeah, I think they're a roster. Like if they were fully healthy, I could see them being 10. They can make the second round. But it's just I have to see it. They haven't been healthy. Same thing with LA. I just have to see them play first before because we've seen the Lakers on paper, and then a lot of people try to hype it up and make the Lakers something they actually weren't. I have to see it. And then I would actually, I know they're the third seed right now, but I would actually move Sacramento down to this tier as well because I don't really Sacramento be. I guess it depends on the matchup. Like right now, they'll be up
For
against
me, I
like
feel like Sacramento could win a first round matchup, but it depends on who's
yeah,
that
they would
sixth
have to.
seed.
Seeds, yeah.
But
Uh,
right now, it'll be Dallas. So
I don't see them
I
being
don't think they would
Dallas.
beat
Yeah,
Dallas.
I don't see them being Dallas. Yeah, I guess it depends on the matchup for Sacramento.
Yeah, it definitely depends on
But
the
then they
matchup.
are the third seed and they have that privilege. But like their matchup against the Dallas or the Phoenix or the Clippers or even like the Warriors or something, or like a healthy Pelicans, I would probably go with the Pelicans over them.
Yeah,
Uh,
I feel
I
like
guess we
the.
could
Go ahead.
whoever
I was gonna say like the only reason why I'll put the Wolves down is because we're
Wolves
used to.
down to what though? You see the
I was saying
Wolves like as a
I was saying put the Wolves in. I'm not now that I'm thinking about it. The Wolves they're okay. That's how I
yeah,
put
there's
them.
no way. I feel like there's no way you can have them at the
Yeah, I
bottom
can't.
feeder because
I
they're
can't
the
move them.
AC. What are you
I was
talking
gonna move them to like the bottom tier, but I don't think I can because
about?
they still got
Yeah, hell
Cat,
no.
they still got Ant and everybody. So I can't move them down to bottom. But that's the thing. Who did they get? Did they get anybody in return? Who did they get in return for the trades for the assets that they lost?
Nigga, they got Mike
They got Mike
Conley.
Conley. Mike Conley been good for them too.
Hmm.
My thing is with the Timberwolves, they've been better since Carlton Towns got hurt. I think it's because their
They're
defense
actually
improved a
really
lot.
better with Carl Anthony Towns off of the floor, to be honest.
That's what I'm
That's
saying. Because
crazy.
yeah,
Like I
the
just
way
feel
they
like
said
it's
it,
time that they fully embrace making this Anthony Edwards team. Anthony
I
Edwards
was
is
yeah,
the
I was
guy
just
on that
talking.
team.
You know my guy Nate. I was talking to Nate about it earlier. I'm like, listen, they put himself in a hole trading for Gobert. I think, especially looking at how they've looked without Carlton Towns and how Ant had looked as a full fledged first option, I think trading Carlton Towns might be the move, man.
It'll
Honestly,
get
because
you your draft capital back that you traded for Gobert, and
at least you're not gonna get all
you're
them
not going
picks
to get
back,
the
but you're gonna
seven
get
picks, but you're
somewhat.
going
Yeah,
to
you'll
get
get
some draft
somewhat some
capital back,
capital.
and you're going to be able to
True.
get some probably competent players to put around them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for
Richard,
sure.
before we move on, where do you view the Lakers at? Do you think the Lakers are still in like this
I think the
play-in
Lake.
tier, or do you think they
They're not. They're. I think Lakers are a tier high. I think they're a team that can make it out of the first round, in my opinion, because they still got Braun. It also. I think it also. I think for them, it just depends on health. Like they need AD. I feel like they're gonna need if they want to make it like a loud, like a some real noise in the playoffs. They're gonna need AD, and I don't really trust AD.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't trust AD either. Not even just that, even beginning of the year when AD was playing like that, then I would probably be like, yeah, the Lakers can make some noise. But the AD we've seen since he's been back has been the more of the AD we've seen for the last couple of years, versus like
Yeah,
one game
I
he
feel like
might be
AD,
aggressive and
but
get you 30, and one game he'll just be like another guy in the offense. Like
yeah,
it's something
I
like
feel
that.
like
And
they're
even
just
with the
rely. They need to fix like they need to AD need to step it up. I feel like that's how I
I don't
feel.
know. I don't think y'all wrong with that, and I actually agree with y'all so heartedly on that. But at the same time, I feel like with them adding D'Angelo Russell in the fold, where it'll kind of take like I feel like it'll make the game easier on D'Angelo or not D'Angelo on AD just because of the fact of when they were playing with Russ, it was like D'Angelo Russell wasn't providing that shooting ability, but
Yeah,
D'Angelo Russell is going to provide that shooting ability where he's going to be able to create shots for his own and shoot threes, off the ball and stuff. So it's just defense won't, just emphasize on, Bron or just AD, but with having D'Angelo Russell out there, teams are also going to have to guard D'Angelo Russell. Where when Russ was out there, a lot of times we will see whoever Russman was will just leave him and just go down to double AD.
well, I don't because when AD was snapping, a lot of it had to do with Russ. I mean, obviously AD had to do the work, but like
Yeah,
I
but
think
yeah, I get what you're
Russ,
saying, but when he was snapping, Bron wasn't on the court too, so it was like
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
it was kind of an extra pressure taken off because Bron wasn't on the court.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
Bron, Russ, and AD together, it just did not work at all. So I feel
Yeah.
like with having D'Angelo Russell, it'll make the game easier on AD.
I don't. It's tough. I have to see more, but like the thought of D'Lo, obviously, you and me are both D'Lo fans. I'm a big fan of his game just because of how smooth it is. But like at the end of the day, D'Lo is like I think his off-ball stuff kind of gets a little overrated just because his shooting is inconsistent. He's been streaky. He's been better this year. So like if he keeps that up, obviously, kudos to the Lakers. Bam, you're gonna be golden. But like I just with the Lakers, it's just like I don't trust their shooting to stay consistent. I don't trust Darvin Ham at all. Darvin Ham has been like so far this year from what I've seen from them. I don't think he's that good of a coach. He's a hell of a guy. I think he's a good assistant coach, but like in terms of
I
his
feel
head
like
coaching
it's hard
ability, I
to
don't really
judge him
trust
as
him.
a coach or not though, because their roster was just so bad. I don't think
Yeah.
any coach honestly would have succeeded with that roster.
I mean, I don't. The roster wasn't bad, but I don't think the roster is 13th seed bad. Like instead of just put it on paper,
I
I think
I actually
they've
I
had
actually
injuries,
do.
but
I actually do think it's that bad. Like
You think it's
obviously
that
you got
bad?
Bron and you got AD, but the pieces around them just were not good to me.
You have when you
so
have Braun and when you
Like
have
bro, when
two
you have
Nash.
Bron and AD and then you're going out I'm not a Lakers fan, but if you have Bron, we we missed the playoffs the year before. If we have Bron and AD and you're signing like Pat Bev and Juan Toscano Anderson, you're trying to convince me we're going to be a contender this year. No, that's not going to convince me. What has Juan
not even
Toscano Anderson done to make me be like, oh yeah, this nigga about to help put us over the top? Like no, like that
yeah.
roster is just not good. It just wasn't good to me.
Not to mention, I feel like they did a horrible decision with like they did won the champion. They shouldn't have really blew up changed that many changes to the roster anyway because they just won a championship in the bubble that 1 year. I feel like they made a mistake letting go with
Yeah.
letting Kuzma go in my opinion because Kuzma even though Kuzma was doing terrible for that team, he did take some load off of Bron and AD. So I feel like them blowing up their championship roster was a big mistake in my opinion. Just to go out there and trade.
The roster they had was perfect. They didn't even do anything to it.
Yeah, and then they're going out to get somebody that like I think somebody quoted in the bubble said that hey Russ was with us or something like that. I think that's what Bron said or something like that in the bubble when they were playing the Wizards. Said that he was like hey he's with us or something like that, and they went out and got him when you had and traded like
No,
all
bro, for me the thing that just didn't make sense was when the Lakers in the bubble when they played the Rockets, when Russ was on the Rockets, that LeBron said that their key to beating him was making Russell Westbrook shoot. And that's what you want on your roster. The
yeah
nigga that you just beat because he couldn't create a shot or make a shot is the guy you want on your roster.
yep.
I
It
mean,
was just a dumb
in
decision in
terms
my
of
opinion.
how I would kind of rank these, which ones I'll be scared of the most. I would probably out of all these teams in this tier, including the Lakers, because I have the Lakers in that tier. Um, I'll probably be the most scared of the Lakers, unless the Pelicans were fully healthy. I think I'll probably be more scared of the Pelicans fully healthy than the
Oh
Lakers.
yeah, of course. I feel like the Pelicans were healthy. I feel like they would I feel like they will be in the tier above.
Yeah, I probably agree. I probably
I
agree
feel
with
like
that.
Well, on mine, since I got the Lakers a tier above, the obviously the healthy Pelicans will be a team I'll be most afraid of.
Yeah, the only thing with the Pelicans, the only reason I haven't down here is because we haven't seen it healthy. That's like the only
yeah,
reason why we just haven't seen it.
fucking
Yeah,
I
and
no
then
doubt
Zion.
in
it's
my
like
mind they'll
we've
probably be up there.
we've seen like their big three hoop, but it has not been together.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah,
just got Zion
that's really
eating
my only thing.
jambalaya on a broken
Yo,
Achilles. Like
Those are the two teams I'm most scared of. And then like you have I mean Portland's not that good. They have Dame, so Dame can get you in the playoffs. You have to get him in the play-in. The Trailblazers aren't in the play-in right now. Gotta get in there, bro. We can move on to the next tier, the kind of sleeper teams that like kind of like with Philly, with not with Philly, but like with Cleveland, Miami, like they could potentially, but obviously we get to the second round, potentially make the conference finals, and like if they make the finals, it's like man, it shocks you, but it's like you could see it potentially happening.
yeah,
Me, I have Memphis, Dallas, pretty much those two teams. I would say Memphis and Dallas really.
agreed.
And then
That's where I
like
have Memphis and Dallas as
I
well.
have Memphis
yeah,
and
Memphis
Dallas
and that.
too.
Well, but y'all two have the Lakers in there too. Knicks.
Yeah, Memphis. Yeah, my bad. I have
Yeah,
Memphis, Dallas, and the Lakers there. The sole reason why I have the Lakers there is just because I'm not gonna lie, I put a bet down on the Lakers to make the playoffs, so I'm confident in
I'm bugging.
it. It's LeBron James, bro. Like I just
Yeah,
have the confidence in LeBron James to go on this late stretch and get them into the playoffs, and then once they're in the playoffs, especially depending on matchup. it's LeBron James, bro. LeBron James is literally hard to count out. And then hopefully, we keep talking about AD, but if AD's healthy and AD is giving you, what Anthony Davis does, they're hard out, and then you add that in with the better shooting that they have with D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt, being a good defender for them. Just being a spark. Austin Reeves has been a good shooter for them. Lonnie Walker so far since the trade has kind of, fell out a
Hasn't
little bit,
played. I
but
think ever since he came back from the injury, he kind of hasn't played much.
And then I think
Confusing to
also,
me, but
even though he's died out too, I think Rui Hachimura is also a good, a good pickup for them.
and then
ass.
yeah, and then they still have they also acquired Mobamba, who I feel like will take some defensive
Uh,
pressure off of Anthony Davis. So I feel like if they get in the dance, they got a chance to win a series or two.
yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. I just have to see. I would have like the Lakers and the Plug teetering. I forgot to mention I have the Warriors in this tier as well in terms of like I said, like winning like not necessarily contenders. This is like the Warriors has been fucking god awful. Also, and then their shot creation has been lacking as well. Like down the stretch, they like Steph is great. He's not that guy that's gonna be like, yo, give me the ball, I'm gonna get us a bucket. They don't really have another guy like. And when the defense isn't, you're not getting stops on the side. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
So yeah, the Warriors. I also have the Warriors in that tier.
It's weird
Uh,
because I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I have the Warriors in this tier or if they're in my
and
contending tier, to be
yeah,
honest.
me neither. It's weird because when you
Because
have
I can see them still being a contender. Like this was a team that just went to the finals a year ago, and their main problem
but
with them this year, honestly, has been the health of Curry.
even when Curry has played, they've still been mid.
Yeah, but at the same time, I view the Warriors as a team where like they kind of just, as long as we're in a dance, we got a chance to win the whole thing.
And
yeah,
maybe I'm sure that's how they feeling. But I think they could Memphis like they can match up with Memphis first round. They could probably beat them, but I don't know how they fare
I feel
against
like
like
they can match with almost only team I feel like they will give them the beats is Phoenix and maybe the Clippers, but
I
everyone
think
else
Phoenix, the Clippers,
like
and Denver would all get.
I don't know. I don't know if I feel how I feel about that with Denver because with that we seen what their formula was to beating Denver last year, where I feel like they could replicate that same success.
Well, I think Denver improved on that, getting a get KCP or Bruce Brown, Jamal Murray coming back, who are good at playing defense and pick and roll and getting around. Is going to make it easier on Jokic. Denver has kind of like played a little more, so they want to have. I know the Warriors are going to sniff him. The Warriors going to get Jokic to the screen. I think them having Jamal Brown and KCP is going to make it easier on Jokic. And then the main reason I think Denver would scorch them because Warriors defense is terrible and the Nuggets have the best offensive league. Last year, Denver didn't have
So by
guys.
scorch, you think they're gonna sweep Golden State?
No. I don't think they were sweeping, but like I think it would be like a 5 or 6 game series.
yeah. I agree. Now that I'm thinking about it, because yeah, I was just thinking that it's because you have Curry. Curry's one of the most deadliest shooters this game has ever seen. So I was thinking about that. And then we got Clay, but then the Clay was starting to come back into to what we're used to seeing with Clay. It's weird. And then we got Jordan Poole is on the rise too. So it was. I was thinking that he was between. I was putting going a little more to contender because, like Court said, there was just they're reigning champs from last year. So I don't. It's weird to decide which tier they want to go. It's like if you want to put them any, I think we want to put them in between because we don't, like you said, we don't know how Curry's health is going to be when it comes to that playoff when it's time to roll in the playoffs. That's how I feel about it.
I mean, I think it's easy to look at the word like, oh, they were champions last year, so why can't they do it this year? But at the end of the day, you can't ignore the fact that they've been terrible and get terrible on the road.
Yeah, and then the West. I feel like the West just got better with a bunch of
Plus, God, yeah, the West did get better since last year.
so did like a
Um,
bunch of teams reloaded on like their key players that was especially Denver. Like
It's just since last year. The West got better since last week.
yeah, they did.
yeah,
Uh, before I want to touch on Dallas a little bit, but before we touch on Dallas, I was excited to do this ever since like so. If anybody listening, y'all listen to the Pick a Side podcast, they had a little debate over the
your mic went out. What you say?
team. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right, so y'all, so we watch all of us. I know me and Corey. I'm not sure even Corey watching, but if anybody watching, watch the Pick a Side podcast. They had a little discourse about the Memphis Grizzlies and whether they're in the league contender.
Oh
And
yeah, I
in our
did
group
see.
chat,
Okay,
it
I did
actually,
see that argument. I
yeah,
did see
yeah,
that argument.
in our group chat, it actually caused a little debate between Richard and Corey. Like, because Corey thinks that I'm not sure. Corey, what's your opinion on the Grizzlies? You think they're one of the top contending teams?
I view Memphis as a contender. Me personally, I mean it's going to be harder now with Kevin Durant in the West, but I view
And
Memphis as a contender. Me personally.
and then Richard
I,
didn't
s-
didn't
I, s-
agree so much.
I said they weren't really a contender because of who is out in the West now. Like KD's out there, and then you add Kyrie to Dallas, especially with Luka being there. So
But what about Memphis as a team that like makes you believe? Because I agree with. I don't think they're a top team either. I don't. I would be surprised if they made it to the finals or even like all the teams in the West now because they probably made it to the conference. What about Memphis as a team?
For
You
me, I
told
view
them that.
Memphis as a contender because like they're they have an identity, bro. Like they know that Ja Morant is their star. Everything is gonna run through Ja Morant. But at the same time, every single person on that roster, they all play to their role and they all do it at a high level. Uh, you know, Jaren Jackson is, a defensive player of the year candidate this year. You have Desmond Bain, who's one of the better three-point shooters in the league. You have Steven Adams, who knows his role in rebounding and defending. You have Tyus Jones, who I believe is the best backup point guard in the league. And, people always want to say, oh, well, when Ja's not playing, Memphis is better without Ja Morant. No, that's not true at all. Memphis looks good without Ja Morant because Tyus Jones is a capable point guard in the NBA, where you can make the argument where he can start on different teams. And then you have Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks, y'all know how I feel about Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks, like people hate him and stuff like that, and he's not no amazing scorer or shooter or nothing like that. But his job is to be a pest, and it works. His job's to get under your skin. His jobs is to make it tough on the other opponent. So I feel like, and you just have to go based off the fact of Memphis being consistent these last couple of years. Like Memphis has a foundation, they have a good coaching staff. Like I said, it'll probably be hard to match up against teams like the Clippers because they're deep. Teams like Phoenix because they have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. But Memphis, they have an identity. The way they play basketball, it's like John Morant is going to do his thing, but we also move the ball and play stout defense to where we can win any given night.
Uh, I kind of my main concern with the Grizzlies that stopped me from putting them in that top tier like three things. First off, the record in the West, like say what you want about that. Playoffs gonna be different, but that's concerning to me. If you're not taking care of business out West, it's like why are we talking about you? My other two main concerns is offense outside of Ja. I think Bane and Jaren Jackson have been better. Jaren Jackson has really improved in the post area, and Bane has just been better overall, just being another ball handler, penetrating in place for everybody. But like we'll be able to do it in the playoffs because like you don't know. Playoffs is a whole different animal. Teams are actually matching up against you in a 7 game series. And then my main concern with Memphis is shooting. Man, they've been a poor shooting team all year. They're like 21st in 3 pointers made and like 24th in 3 point percentage. And when you have John Morant's gonna create a lot of opportunities for shooters. You gotta knock them shots down. Trust Memphis to do. That's what holds me back from
I mean, I feel what you're
putting
saying,
them
but
over
that's
the
the reason why they went out and got Luke Kennard, a guy who shoots 40% from three, where he's
But
gonna.
Luke Kennard is good, but like he's not a guy who's gonna be getting 35 minutes.
Yeah, he's
He's
not.
not.
But when Luke Kennard's on the floor and he has open shots, Luke Kennard's a guy where he's gonna knock down those shots, and defenses guard him because they respect his shooting ability.
Is Luke Kennard gonna make up? Like, is Luke Kennard gonna make you from a 20 to a bottom tier shooting team to a top tier shooting team just from putting him out there for 15 minutes?
He could.
15. I don't think he's the answer, bro. I think you need guys who are out there like consistently being a big part of the rotation, be able to knock down shots for them.
And then I understand what you're saying about their record versus the West, where sure it is a little concerning, but at the same time, when you look at it, they have been one of the more consistent teams in the West, holding on to that second seed almost all season. Consistency speaks a lot.
Another. I mean, they've been consistent in the West. Of course, they have the record, but like about in the West, they're like 16 and 16 in the West, and another concern they've been terrible on the road. Like their home record's amazing, 24 and 5 at home, but like on the road 11 and 17. Luckily for them, they are the second seed. They'll have home court advantage, but you're playing against these teams that can get wins on the road. You gotta get some playoffs, and I just don't trust Memphis to either.
So do you think Memphis could get out of the first round?
For sure, yeah, I
Depending
say
on
it
who they
depends on the
play.
matchup, but yeah, I
Yeah.
think they could definitely get out the first round. That's why I haven't. I think they could, depending on the matchup, they could fuck around and make the conference finals. But like, I don't view them as a team that's
So if
gonna.
you feel like they can mess around and make the conference finals, why don't you view that as a contender? Because you have to be some
No, it
kind of
depends on
contender to get to
it
the
depends
third
on who they
round.
play. Because like right now the Clippers and the Suns are the 4 and 5 seed. Denver's the 1 seed. So they're on the same side. So if Memphis is playing fucking New Orleans first round, and then they play Sacramento second round, make the conference finals just based off playing inferior teams. I feel like if you put them other teams like Clippers, Phoenix, and Denver on the same side as them, I don't think they'll
That's
depends on how the
fair.
matchups go. Yeah, it depends on how the series go. And I think if the Warriors go in the first round, they get Memphis first round. I think the Warriors will beat them. If they
That's
have their
fair.
number. Like Warriors have had their number. Like, Memphis is a team that I can see making the conference finals based off the matchup, but I could also see them losing first round based off the matchup. I don't see Denver losing in the first round. Like
Yeah.
that's not crossing my mind. I don't think they will lose.
Like, don't get it
Well, I
twisted.
mean, I'm kind of confident that you won't lose first round when you're the one seed and you're playing a weaker team.
Exactly.
So
But it's
of
just like
course,
whereas it's like that's not a concern with.
Yeah. Yeah, I just like I feel like yeah, Memphis is a good team. Like, no, let's not get it wrong. Like, they're gonna obviously make the playoffs and make some noise if they can stay healthy and everything like that. But I just feel like once they get like you said, like Seam said, when you start getting into those higher top tier teams, and it just goes based off of matchups, I feel like they don't really stack that well against the West, in my opinion. That's how I feel about it. Like
How do
they're
you?
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm finished. You can go ahead. What you about to ask me?
How do y'all feel like LA matches up against Memphis? I feel like if LA all goes right for LA, I think they can match up really well too.
LA in terms of the Lakers.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Lakers.
Well, I'm kind of confident. I don't know. It's gonna sound crazy, but I'm kind of confident in LA beating anyone just off of them having LeBron James.
yeah, me too. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think
It's
they
the
can beat.
same. Oh, how do y'all view LeBron James now? Because I don't think he's great. He's still good, but I don't think he's like the same LeBron that's just going out there. He could beat any fucking body. Like I don't think that's the LeBron we have.
Nah, I feel like he's still that LeBron.
Me too. He's
Which
what? He's
I don't know, man.
38 now, bro.
For
He's
him to be doing what, for him to be putting up the numbers at 38 that he did his MVP season in Miami is
There's
remarkable.
also inflated numbers. Like his MVP year, there was only like 7 people averaging 20. There are like 7 people averaging 30 now. Like the numbers are hella inflated now because sessions.
I mean, that's a fair argument, but at the same time, to just be, we never seen no one at this age be as dominant and just still have impact on the game to in terms of people feel like as long as you're in the dance, you have a chance. I still view LeBron James as the
I
guy
don't
who
think
can
I don't view him as
carry
that
a
guy
team
anymore.
to
Me
a
personally,
series. Nah, I feel like that's wrong to not view him as that.
like
yeah.
I think he could get you some wins in the series. He's one of those
Like,
guys.
what
I
about
don't think
LeBron James? Do
he's
you not view as him still being that guy?
he's pretty bad as he's not as good as he used to be as a driver. He's not on the perimeter. He's not that great. He's been terrible this year as a closer. I feel like that's a big reason why the Lakers are the 13th seed. Like obviously they don't have great talent, but a lot of games they've had winnable games where LeBron
Yeah,
just
but
couldn't
do you
close
feel
out
like a
games.
lot of that too is at the same time it's so hard to do certain shit when your roster is so bad?
But if you view LeBron as a guy that could get you wins versus anybody, why isn't he getting wins versus anybody? Why are they 13th seed?
I mean, once again, that's a fair point, but at the same time, I'm going based off of the roster that I believe they have right now that can do something compared to their last roster that they just had a week, 2 weeks ago. It was hard to do certain stuff in certain situations when you have people on the court that are traffic cones.
I don't know. I think LeBron is still good. I don't view him as like a I don't view him as like the same LeBron he was. Like could just be like whatever team is around me, we're gonna be good regardless. I don't think that guy anymore. Still good. I think
I still feel like LeBron is one of those players where he can just up his game come playoff time.
minutes since we seen him in the playoffs. Last time he was in there, really up his game too much.
Bro, last time we seen a fully healthy LeBron James in the playoffs, he won a championship.
Last time we seen LeBron in the playoffs, didn't do shit.
It's him and his team was injured.
Hey man, I'm just saying,
You
dog.
were you were a main advocate saying if their team was healthy, they might have repeated.
For sure, yeah, I agree. If AD stayed healthy, yeah, I thought they had a good chance that year. I thought they had a good chance to beat this until AD went down, and LeBron didn't really step up until the last game.
So
LeBron,
you
not
don't think LeBron is good enough to beat Memphis?
no, I think LA matches up well against because they have Jared Vanderbilt, who first of all, like last year, he clamped up on that series. They have it kind of depends on how LeBron and AD play. My opinion, I feel like the Lakers they have a solid core around them, but like if LeBron and AD don't hoop the way people do them is, I don't think they're gonna clutch. And I don't really trust I don't trust AD, and I don't think LeBron is that same LeBron that could just go out there and cook any. I think Memphis they probably might have a chance because they match up well, but like versus like like those top teams like a Denver, a Clippers, a Phoenix, like I don't think the Lakers have a chance.
I just see it different. I still feel like LeBron is that guy who is good enough to win you a series.
I feel like they match well against. I feel like they match well against Denver, in my opinion. I feel like they can beat Denver. I don't know about Phoenix. I know we haven't seen them play yet, but that's going to be kind of a hurdle, in my opinion. I feel like them Phoenix is just too stacked offensively, in my opinion.
Chris
And
Paul, little ass hamstring gonna give out.
yeah, well, I'm not even there. Not even mentioning Chris Paul. We're talking about
No, I'm playing.
I'm just talking about KD and Devin Booker. That and then that offensive onslaught is just going to be too much to handle for like for any team in the West. And then the Clippers, we obviously like us. We already talked about the Clippers. The Clippers at the beginning of the episode. They're just stacked, bro. They're probably even more. If we want to be honest, I think they're more OP than Phoenix. That's just
I'm
how
not gonna lie. I think before I went, what are your thoughts about Dallas? Y'all think Dallas could be that's like a contender? I think they're just
I view them as a team that can make noise. I could see them,
yeah, me too.
depending on matchups, effing around and going to the conference finals. But the
Yeah,
thing for me with Dallas, bro, that so far the games where we've seen them play with Kyrie and Luca, their defense is bad.
yeah,
yeah, it's really
bad, bro.
bad. At
Like
the
They
same
fuck
time, like
caps.
I think like we said last pod, they don't like Maxi Kleber's not there, but it's like I don't know how big of a difference makes when your defense is this fucking terrible. But
Yeah,
the way
their
you view
defense is
LeBron,
bad.
the way you talking about LeBron, that's how I'm talking about Luca. Luca's like how LeBron used to be, in my opinion. Like, you have Luca on your team, you could beat fucking anybody. I think the Dallas, like if you have Luca out there hooping, and you obviously
Not if
Kyrie
you
Irving
can't
next
get
to
no
him, like
damn stops.
Stops. Yeah,
yeah, for
bro.
sure, for sure, for
Bro,
sure. But I think
you give up, you give up 122. No, I'm sorry. You give up 114, then you give up 133, 124, then 118. That's inexcusable, bro. In order for Luca to even do something where it's like, yo, I feel like we got a chance. Because I do view Luca as that guy. As long as he's on the floor, you have a chance. But you got to be able to get some damn stops, bro.
for sure,
Giving
yeah,
up
I think
133 points is inexcusable. They're with Kyrie and Luca on the court together, bro. They're giving up
I
over 115 points a game.
I feel like that's
yeah,
how
that's
they.
wild.
That, I feel like how Dallas is looking right now, like how they were viewing with how people were viewing Brooklyn when KD and Kyrie was on the same team and they didn't have the defenders. That's how I feel like they were looking. That's how they look. That's how we're looking at Dallas right now. Because that's what they said that
Well,
they said that Brooklyn would they can it will be less outscore fest. There wouldn't be no defense being played like and for them. I feel like with Dallas, you just gotta hope that they're just hoping that they outscore you and not worried about getting defensive stops, and that's not going to work in the playoffs. I feel like.
yeah, I think that's definitely my that's what's keeping me from putting Dallas in that top echelon is the D. I know Maxi Kleber coming back, it'll make it better, but like it's not gonna make them that.
Like
And
I,
then
It's gonna be
like
tough for them.
the game they had a couple weeks ago when they played or a week ago when they played the Kings, they gave up 133. You give up 36 to Darren Fox. You give up 22 to Terrence Davis. You give up 23 to Sabonis. You give up 14 to Trey Lyles. You give up 16 to Kevin Herter. That's inexcusable.
yeah, not many players should not be in double
And then
digits.
even versus Minnesota, like the Kyrie was bringing it back, Kyrie was cooking, they were coming back, but like they just couldn't get that lead, they couldn't get ahead, or they couldn't get that tie ball game because Minnesota kept on scoring back on it. They couldn't get that stop. Like it was fucking Kyle Anderson cooking them niggas. Kyle Anderson
Bro,
nice. Madison and Anthony Edwards cooking them niggas. Like they couldn't stop him in the paint. Their position was
Bro,
terrible. They
they
had no
played they
size.
played they played Denver, gave up 120 to Denver, and nigga Jeff Green had 25.
Yeah, like yeah,
Jeff
the defense
Green.
is definitely
Like that is inexcusable, bro. Jeff Green is like 60, bro, and he's getting you 25.
defense is for sure concern for Dallas.
I feel like they should have, even though they pulled, they dropped a lot for Kyrie, bro. I feel like they should have went. They should have did some more moves at the off season just to get. So I
It
feel like
wasn't
it's
really
Them
there
niggas
wasn't
just
much for
ain't
them
have
to
no
do.
pieces. There was no
Yeah, there's
moves
no
to be
yeah,
made.
not much for them to do in
yeah,
that trade. And then like another concern with Dallas is obviously you have Luka and Kyrie. It's not that big of a concern, but like outside of that, they're relying on niggas like Theo Penson and fucking Josh Green to be like the other ball hand. Like that's not going to be good. But I mean, you got Luka and Kyrie. It's like you got those two. Your offense will be fine. Your offense will be fine with those. It's the
yeah,
defense obviously that's a
yep,
depth overall. I guess we can move on to the top echelon of teams. For me personally, Denver, Phoenix, and the Clippers.
yep. That's mine. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
And then
I feel like that. I feel like that one's obvious too.
and then borderline Golden State if Curry's health is
Yeah,
okay.
they're Golden State. I guess it wouldn't surprise me if Golden State ended up being one of those. But like I just see it happen just based off what we've seen so far.
Yeah,
I guess maybe hopefully
I can agree with you.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's just so weird because this is literally the roster that just won a championship. I don't know, it's weird.
yeah.
I feel like Golden State's a team where if they healthy, they can just flip to
Oh,
a different
oh
switch.
yeah, I forgot to ask. What happened with Gary Payton? Is he on the team or
He's
no?
injured.
Yeah,
He's
he
injured. He's
just
on the team, but
injured.
Okay, okay. Is he coming back this season or is he done?
He's projected to come back later down the road.
Okay. I remember seeing something
But
about
how
them
do y'all
potentially going back.
how do y'all feel like these top teams match up against? Like, who do y'all think is favorite?
Uh,
Jeez, man.
I can't decide between Phoenix
It's-
and
and
the
the Clippers
Clippers.
meets, yeah, bro.
Um, I
You
think
don't
I'm
believe in Denver?
leaning. Nah, I view Denver as a contender. I just think Phoenix and the Clippers are better.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably agree with that.
But the
It's
thing
Especially
is,
with like
I don't know. I think if you was to, it might change. But if you was to ask me right now, I think I'm gonna go the Clippers just because they're so deep, man.
yeah,
yeah,
same
I
here.
agree with you.
I'm
I would go with the Clippers right now just because they're so deep. But
man.
like we haven't seen KD play with them. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure once we see
that's
KD on the
probably the only
court,
reason. I think
everything's
that's
gonna
the only reason
change.
why I'm gonna go with the Clippers too, bro. Because like K, jeez, bro, I really can't decide. It's because
And my fault. Go ahead, Richard.
like KD and Devin Booker, those are what they're both averaging damn near 30. That's 60. They damn near both averaging 30. And then you got they got DeAndre Ayton. That's probably going what's he averaging? Let me pull up stats real quick. I should have those up on my shit. Hold on.
Bro, you know what Aiden's gonna bring you, bro. You don't even
Yeah, so it like
think.
Ayton's going to give you at least 20 and 10, and then so like it's hard, but like I was saying though, the Clippers are just so deep, bro. It's like they have so many pieces that like Core said earlier in the chat, they have players that should be starters coming off their bench, bro. like
They have a whole starting lineup off their bench. And I was in the the group chat, man. There's like a Suns fan in there. We were talking about it. We were like the Clippers, man. They could probably fuck around and beat the Suns just because how deep they are. And they were like, oh well, in the playoffs, the rotation shortness is like you only playing 8 players. Well, the Clippers is playing 8 damn good players. Like
Yeah, the
nobody
Clippers
out there.
yeah,
8 players that
Yeah,
they're playing are starters.
yes, I'm saying they're playing 8 really good fucking players out there.
Like
So
I
it's like
view it
that's
like
gonna be
this.
tough to beat.
I view it like this. Obviously, the Clippers' big question mark is going to be health. It's always health with the Clippers, but I know I've been saying it a lot this pod, but Kawhi Leonard is literally the definition of the guy who just cruises in a regular season and just turns it up in the playoffs. We've seen
Yeah,
Kawhi Leonard have like probably one of the most remarkable final runs ever, and he won a Finals MVP in San Antonio as well, young in his career. And they have we talked about Russell Westbrook, what he's going to add for them. They have Paul George, and then you look at the pieces around them. You have Bones Highland, you have Norman Powell, you have Marcus Morris, you have Mason Plumlee, Robert Covington, Eric Gordon. Like this team is just so deep, bro. Like you said earlier, where if there's someone who's not meant for this series or someone who's been struggling, Okay, it's cool. We're just going to go give your minutes to such and such, and this player is going to be in impactful fours. You still have
Yeah,
Terrence Mann, who is just your starting point guard. Like, bro, their team is so deep, bro. If they stay healthy, I can see this team winning the whole thing. And they have to me what is an elite coach. I view Tyronn Lue as an elite coach.
I do.
Yeah,
And then
he's probably the
a
best coach
concern
in
I ha
basketball. If I'm being honest with you.
a concern I still have with Phoenix, a big reason why they lost last year is because they didn't have a lot of driving ability. And as great as KD is, he's not really a guy that's, especially at this point in his career, he's not driving a lot. Luckily for them, KD's the best mid-range shooter in the league. He's not going to miss a lot of them. Like, it's still like a concern, in my opinion, not having that guy that's going to like put his head down, get you to the basket and create open looks that way. I think teams can still pretty much guard them the same way that Dallas did last year, kind of like blitzing on the screen, trying to take away that mid-range. But like, obviously, adding Kevin Durant just adds a whole new fucking dynamic
Yeah.
that it's gonna be
And
Yeah,
I
tough to
know
beat that.
because they added, I know because he's Kevin Durant and because what they added in Kevin Durant, people aren't really looking at like what they traded. But at the same time, those pieces they traded was like, like they
they
did lose those
traded.
pieces at the same time. Like they lost defenders, they lost spot up
Yeah,
shooters.
yeah,
Like I know it's Kevin
exactly.
Yeah,
Durant, but at the same time, when you lose stuff, it's kind of hard to like fill that void for what
Fill
that
the.
certain role is.
Yeah,
sure. What about Denver? Like, holds in your opinion holds them back compared to those two top teams? Like, you just think top teams are better?
I just think those two teams. Well, I think for me, I view the Suns as just having more star power with D Book and
Yeah,
KD to go along
sure.
with Chris
yeah,
Paul and Aiton, and for the Clip, I just view the Clippers as having way more depth.
yeah. I think
Well,
that's what I think. That's, I think those are two main concerns.
Denver's deep as hell too, though. Denver
They
has a lot
are,
of depth
but
themselves.
to me, the Clippers are just deeper.
It's tough. My main thing with Denver is like I think the defense, but like I don't think Phoenix defense will be that great either. Denver, the
Yeah,
defense has been
yeah. I
solid
agree
this
with
year,
what you're
but I think in
saying.
the playoffs
I agree with what you're
when
saying.
you're
I don't know
playing
what you're
these
about to say.
elite offensive teams, you're gonna need to get a lot more stops. But like luckily for Denver, they're the best offensive team. My main thing with Denver, and we've seen Jokic do before, kind of when he was by himself last year, the last couple years, like down the stretch, and you got Kawhi Leonard, you got Kevin Durant giving your team buckets. Jokic can't be like this guy's like, oh, I'm gonna play the game the right way, whatever.
Yeah,
Jokic needs to get in
Jokic
his
is going to
bag and
have to
take
learn when
them
to take
games
over the
over.
game a little bit.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Either him or Jamal Murray's going to step up and do it.
And the thing is with
Like,
Jamal Murray, I think Jamal Murray can do it, but at the same time, he's been playing good this year, but it's been a while since he's been put in playoff pressure to do that. So I
exactly.
want to see if he can still do it because it's been a while.
Yeah, so that's my main thing with them is Jokic gonna be like, you know what, fuck playing the right way. I'm gonna go out there and take this game over because I'm the
And
MVP.
and he's been good this year. He's been consistent this year, but come playoff time, I also need to see a consistent Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah, exactly. Some a little more shot creation just outside of Jokic and Jamal Murray is a little confused. It's like there's not a lot of shot creators there. They have a great offense, great offense. But when you give a team 7 games to prepare for that offense, you're gonna need when times get slow and the offense slows down a little bit. You're gonna need guys that can be like, I'm gonna just get us a bucket. The Clippers have a lot of guys who could do that. Denver doesn't have a lot of guys that could. Like I said, they
yeah,
have great depth, but it's not like they have a lot of guys that are they're creating hella shots for themselves
yeah.
and other guys.
They don't have a lot of bucket getters. Like
Yeah,
um. Oh, never mind. I just want to bring up their defensive, but never mind. They're number two
the
defense.
defense is solid. They're like middle of the pack pretty much, but like
Yeah,
in
they're
the
number
playoffs when you're
two.
playing,
I just pulled it up. They're number
they're
two
number two.
defense. Yeah, that's what it's saying. It's saying
Denver.
yeah, they're saying their defensive rating is 113 right behind Boston. I'm on the
The
NBA
defense is better
website,
than I thought.
and they're number two.
Yes, I didn't even know the defense was that good.
Yeah, me neither. I
Maybe
thought
they can
that's what
keep
I was.
that.
That was thinking. That's what I was gonna bring up that argument. Like they have so much. It's those two teams that we named at the top of like the Clippers and the Suns. They're so powerful offensively. They want to get stops, but now I'm looking at it, that's not really a
No, it
argument.
wasn't even about their defense was a minor concern just because like having Jokic obviously is gonna rim protection. Like I knew their defense was good this year. I didn't know it was fucking second in the league.
See,
But
it's like a tie. It's like a tie between Milwaukee and it says it's like Boston is one, and then it says number two, and then two is between Denver and Milwaukee.
see, is that defensive rating or offensive rating?
That's defensive rating.
Yes, he said I didn't even know that. The main thing with Denver, in my opinion, is Jokic gonna be able to take them games over.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's
Like
the
I
main
think I view
concern.
Denver as a team that can make the finals, so they could beat any.
I think that's the main concern. Is just having Jokic be dog. Jokic has to find that dog in him, even though he has the dog, but he has to also find that dog of
Yeah,
no
for
But
me,
playing
man.
that's like the
alongside,
main thing, bro. Is like Jokic is gonna have to know when to like, all right, bro, I just can't be out here passing. I have to look to score. Like, there's been times this year where like I don't want to say they lost because of Jokic, but there's been times this year where late in games Jokic has been too passive, where they need him to be aggressive as a scorer.
I mean,
Like that
I'll
game,
bring it up. I know.
like that
Yeah, I
game
was
against
about.
Philly.
Exactly. I was just about to bring it up. That game against Philly when I listen. I don't want to make it a Joel versus Jokic thing, but like Joel's giving you fucking buckets the whole quarter. Fourth quarter, Embiid is cooking the shit out of you, and you shoot 2 times, bro. Like, come on, dude. At some point, like, it's not even about the matchup either. It's just like about winning the fucking game. Like, you're not getting much offense throughout the. You're just not getting much offense with the way that y'all been playing because Philly switched they shit up and Jokic had PJ Tucker on him. He's sitting there still trying to play at the top of the key. Like, take that nigga to the post.
Yeah, and the
Just
thing
make
is,
him down low.
credit it. PJ Tucker did play some good defense on him, but when it's that kind of game and you have a smaller defender on you, you gotta take advantage of it.
Yeah, and Jokic was sitting there playing at the mid range, playing at the top of the key. Like, bro, take him down low, dog.
And then it's
Getting them
like,
buckets.
like you was saying, you're not trying to make it a Embiid versus Jokic thing, but realistically, that's what it is. Late in games, bro, when you have star players like just going back and forth and stuff. Sometimes you just have to arrive to that occasion because of who you're playing. Where like,
Exactly.
bro, Embiid is literally scoring every single bucket on you, every single bucket. At some point, you just got to be like, nah, bro, it ain't gonna be like that, and then you just got to take over the
Exactly.
game. Like
Yeah, pride gotta set in.
we've seen so many times just two superstars on the opposing team just give each other bucket after bucket because that's just the way the game is going.
And especially when you're thinking about the teams that we're comparing them to with the Clippers and the Suns, they have a Kawhi Leonard and a Kevin Durant, for guys that are gonna get them buckets. They're gonna take over them games. They're gonna have them moments where they can't be stopped. So it's like Jokic, are you gonna be able to match them guys? Are you gonna be able to be that guy that can't be stopped as well? Eh,
Exactly. And then not only do those teams have a Kevin Durant and a Kawhi Leonard, those teams also have a Devin Booker and a Paul George.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So it's like Jamar, are you gonna step up and match those? Are you gonna be that consistent second option to Jokic playing well every game? Man,
And then when you have a Devin Booker and a Devin Booker with a Paul George, and then you have a Aiton, and then and I forget who they're searching for
well, that
Norman
those parts I'm
Powell.
not.
Yeah, but yeah, I understand, but
They're gonna be fine with Denver. They have like Anthony
they're
Gordon.
gonna be fine. But I just feel like
How can the
I don't.
stars match up with the stars at the time?
Yeah, this is it's gonna have to be star against star at that point, and then I don't like y'all said. Jokic has shown that when it comes to star versus star, he's not ready to step up against that other star, in my opinion.
Uh,
I wouldn't say that he's not ready to
yeah,
do it. I
yes,
just feel like he
I
doesn't
wouldn't
do it
say
He
enough
doesn't do it.
consistently.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I meant. Like
especially this year. Absolutely, we've seen him do it. I'm not gonna say at like Jokic in the playoffs. He usually steps up that aggression. That's why I'm not too concerned about it. But like just so far this year, since he's gotten his guys back, and even the year where he had his guys and they made the conference finals, he was more like passive and trying to play the right way and all that. And then the 2 years that he lost them guys, he stepped up. Like last year versus the Warriors, he averaged like 35, 33, something like that. Like his scoring usually goes up in the playoffs. It's just I want to see it again this year because we haven't seen it this year. He's been kind of just
I don't
like
want
he'll
him to
have
get too accustomed to having his players
yeah,
back and he's reverting back to
exactly,
old habits.
exactly.
yeah,
We're running back to the old habits. Like you have to be like, listen, yo, because you're about to be most likely you're about to be a 3-time MVP, bro. Like we're playing against these teams with Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard. You gotta step up and take over them games. Can't have you
yeah,
taking 10 shots a game. We need you taking
and he's going to need to
upwards
do it,
towards
especially
20.
against those two teams. So
Yeah, and it's
Exactly.
like I know regular season wise, his like 14, 15 point triple doubles is enough to win, but regular season wise, you're going to need to score more than, or playoff wise, you're going to need to score more than 15 points.
A lot more than 15 points. A lot more than 15.
KD's going to give you fucking like damn near 35, and Devin Booker's going to give you like at least 30. So
That's crazy. Because Kevin Durant and Booker averaging 35 and 30 in the series, they gonna win the chip. that's
Yeah, bro.
that's a lot of damn points. But
yeah.
that's all. Yeah, no
He
more
got
thoughts
these
about
niggas
that.
combining for 70
Yeah,
points.
like he gonna score 35 and 30. That's crazy.
I mean, they're already damn near averaging what 60 together. This on paper, KD's averaging what, like 29 and a half, and Devin Booker averaging like
Yeah, D-Book
27.
averaged 27, 28.
So they averaging damn near 60. It's not that far off.
CP0 rings getting you them assists out there.
Yeah, CP3 about to have a career high assist in the playoffs. He about to be throwing.
Yeah, man, it's pod. I feel like it went a little long, but I enjoyed the dialogue, enjoyed the discourse. That's
Yeah,
another episode of the Play by Play podcast. Close it up.
yeah, I don't got anything to say. I honestly, we might sound a little bit tired, but we gotta understand we're doing this a little bit late. We usually do this a lot earlier. Like we've been playing the game, been trying to just we took a little break on the NBA pod, but we back again. We gonna start trying to get more consistent. So hope you guys stick with us. That's all I gotta say, man.
Yeah,
We
and
got
please, if you're listening to this pod on the Apple Store podcast, leave the podcast 5 stars. Try to get in a few years, so just leave the podcast 5 stars. Follow the Instagram at Play by Play Podcast. Uh, another episode down, y'all. Where you
got anything to say, Cole?
This one, like Seam said, listen on Apple Pod, leave it a 5 stars. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. Be sure to follow us on the Instagram. Make sure you follow our TikTok. We made a TikTok for those of you who don't know. And just continue to support, share, and continue to grow with us on this journey.
All right, guys, and that is a wrap.